too much of this for free.
Okay, one goes down. Music got distracted by the ward, and I think a second will fall as the engage happens bot side. Diamond lands the Q onto Rovex. That's 2 grubs picked up by Kenvi off screen there. We saw one go
All
down.
3? Yeah.
All 3, actually. Wow. So Music was not able to get there in time. When I saw the Sheen come in, you know, that's going to be Trinity Force for Wukong, I think, okay, if you get 6 grubs, that means that Wukong can just shred turrets at a certain point. But that is not going to be the game plan for Blue Otter anymore. They will instead just run towards the dragon. Music's trying to burst this down with an early smite there. And the cooldown should be up so that there's no contest.
Yeah, ultimately, Supernova just a little bit faster to the play, and Brand does this objective so quickly with all of the AoE damage that he continues stacking passive up onto one target over and over again. Suddenly means that the grub's not long for the world, but Blue Otter will be getting this first dragon. They do have some opportunities to play through that. And if you have the dragon stacking pressure on your opponent, it also allows you to set up for even further dragons, just as we were saying, because Quacker wants to be playing in the kind of way where he's going to be going for all of these flanks, be on off angles, make sure that Supernova are uncomfortable. If you force your opponents to come to these objectives, especially when they have a Smolder who might not have the 225 stacks by the time you get to Dragon 4, that gives you so much more freedom with how powerful the Wukong is going to be for this fight.
Currently, we see Quacker actually just getting some deep vision on the mini-map in the top side. So they're going to try and track where Kenvi is. They know that Kenvi is not going to be in top camp, so Rovex and Levitate need to back off here. They don't have vision on Brand, but they have vision where he's not, which usually should be enough for you to play safe. Diamond's going to walk up, Rovex as well, but trying to bait Rovex. If he ever uses Crash Down aggressively, probably just going to die there because they had Kenvi waiting in the wings, but Kenvi does complete the back now.
Yeah, this bottom lane has been relatively calm, all things considered, because there's not been a lot of jungle attention. That was the first time either Kenvi or Music had come down towards the bottom side of the map, but we're kind of settling into a much more stable part of the game. The big thing that I'm going to be looking at is how much skirmishing is Toasty actually going to be doing over the next several minutes? How much is Supernova actually going to be fighting for all of these different objectives over the next couple of dragons? Because whether or not Toasty gets to that 225 is going to tell us a lot about the game. And you have to know, he's going to be feeling like he wants to do more. It's like Samikin, the other guy, one of the front runners for the Rookie of the Split, is definitely a player where he does not want to be outshone by.
And he's getting focused right now. We had Kenvi trying to pincer from the top, Diamond roaming from the bottom, but Samikin gets to safety just fine and will not fall. As we had resets from Rovex and Levitate. So I'm watching where Rovex wants to go. He's actually headed straight back to bot side. We have not seen Rovex really get out of this lane yet. So far, I mean, Diamond that was the first look mid from him as well. So both teams seem very comfortable with the traditional lane assignments, just everybody playing to the lane that they want to, but now Rovex might actually have a play here with Music behind him. Diamond and Lens are very far forward. They have summoner spells. Can they get out of this? Lens should be safe, should be just fine, and Diamond will have to burn Flash, but that is it. Okay, he's on top side. That's Flash out of Quacker. Flash forward from Faisal, pulls him right on back with the all-out, and Kenvi with the Pyroclasm, and Brand passive will just blow up the Wukong.
Really good read of Supernova up on the entire map. The bot lane, they only lose Diamond's Flash. Up on the top side, they trade Faisal's Flash for Quackers, but also pick up the kill. And now Rovex trying to find something mid lane.
Crash down does not land, and he did not press the R button for the Magnet Storm. Satoshi gets out of there just fine.
This is one of the things that we have seen experience really matters in a lot of the games. It's part of why Furic Starforge has even found themselves going so far in the bracket thus far, is because they are so much clutcher. They understand the map a little bit better, but Blue Otter is a team they need to start finding some of these skirmishes, because that lead that they had topside, if it starts going over to Kenvi, Kenvi's on a character that has a lot of freedom in a lot of these fights. As long as his Flash is available, it's very difficult for Rovex and Quacker to actually jump on top of him, and now he's got a fully Andres.
Rovex is chasing Diamond and Kenvi out here of the river. As Dragon's up in 1:30, so we're not really fighting for anything. And we just have Quacker on the grubs by himself. I mean, we see Kenvi bottom side, so we know that there's no Brand nearby to contest that. It's just going to be one taken to deny the Grubageddon. But he has to get back to that wave. I wonder if Music's going to head up there and try and get the other two, just to deny any spawns of grubs on turrets.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy for Supernova to just call it even. It's not as though there are any champions in this game who love grubs. Like, everybody likes grubs, but there's no champions here just like, yes, if I have grubs, I win the game. So we'll see if Supernova want to play for that a little bit more. They don't need to devote a lot, but Kenby.
Oh, Rovex, who's on the roam and did not respect that Kenby could be right there, has to flash away. Kenby flash follow. Last cone is not going to be enough to get Rovex out of there. He's trying to sidestep, gets the stun. Kenby with one more conflagration will get the kills.
Oh, no.
Now the depth charge onto Levitate did not have the support to back him up. Getting chased away solo by the jungler means that Diamond and Lens pull off the dive.
And we're seeing so far that most of these plays are going in favor of Supernova. They're just a little bit cleaner with their map rotations. They just are looking for the small opportunities to outplay their opponents on the map way better than Blue Otter have been so far. They're going to be getting themselves a second dragon, and when you have this Smolder on your team, getting this one dragon, slowing down your opponent's ability to get the soul is a huge deal. You do not need to fight for Dragon 4 anymore. You can fight for Dragon 5, and you should always have the stacks to go for that one. But Rovex coming around.
They're just going to stun up Kenby, but they still get the smite confirm onto the dragon. Rovex might be able to lock down Kenby long enough. Levitate does jump in now, so Kenby got nowhere to escape to. It's just going to be a matter of who gets the kill credit. Levitate wants it with the final auto attack.
Just a consolation prize, though. That's still a big win coming through for Supernova. They will get a couple of these camps, and, you know, Music will get a lot of money off of this, but it is still something where they're going to be punished as Lens looking around.
Contested. Yeah, I mean, True Shot Barrage is going to do a lot of damage with the mom coming down. Toasty flashing forward to punish Rovex, who's just trying to back up Music to take away some camps, but they didn't even get the buff. That's one camp cleared, and now you can call it a trade of kills. Kenby went down, but they get the kill onto the Rel.
Just looks like Blue Otter overplaying a lot of their turns so far in this game, right? They try and play around the blue buff a couple of times from Kenby. They do, you know, one of them goes well, one of them goes poorly. This time they try and play their turn around the dragon. They get something to get a couple of kills, but then they overplay it. They're constantly looking for all of these opportunities when instead, so much of their power comes around setting up for these objectives, but Music not letting go.
Okay, another invade. Third time this game into Kenby's top jungle. Kenby just got no chill up here, man. Music does not want to give him any quarter. Will now slow down Faisal and has Quacker in his back pocket. Stun lands all out on the Music, but Faisal does not want to continue the fight. Rovex and Levitate were nearby, so he had to back off. Music is just not allowing Kenby to have a peaceful farm in his jungle. He wants to fight him for every last camp.
Music's not supposed to be getting out at that nearly as unscathed as he did. I'm pretty sure Kenby ulted the Gromp, and then the Gromp reset, running away with the ultimate. So he got almost no damage onto Music in that last one, and now the Rift Herald comes through. This is a huge misplay if this is true. This gives over so much to Blue Otter. And picking up this Rift Herald, you know they need to be ahead. You know that they need to be able to force their opponents to come to them. With all these upcoming objectives, getting this Rift Herald will allow them to open the map, will make Supernova feel less comfortable around all of these upcoming objectives. So Samikin and Toasty still going head-to-head. We are seeing that even though Samikin's winning a lot of the trades, he's not really winning on gold.
Interesting. Interesting to see how things have shaped out here from the early game, from the kill advantage Supernova have, but gold still pretty much equal. Yeah, I didn't catch the ultimate onto the Gromp, but here we go. He's going to sleep, throws it
on the Gromp.
Hits Grump. Oh, just runs away. Oh, wait, no, but it's bouncing between Music and Kenby still. It actually bounced back to Music in time.
You're supposed to get 3 bounces off of that. He only got 2. That's a huge difference in DPS. That's an extra 50% off the ult that he just completely missed out on off of a small misclick. And it ends up giving over so much pressure because now Blue Otter, they got the Rift Herald. The Rift Herald suddenly means that they're getting the mid tower here. That means that Samikin, uncontested in the bottom lane, they get the teleport at the same time. They're getting so many different tools. And where's Revix going with this? He can even drive it down bottom lane to help out Samikin and give him even more money.
From behind the turret wall, Tokyo drifting all the way to the bot lane. Oh, doesn't actually want to go into the turret, though. Interesting.
Hello's the turret. I don't know. I would have done it. I might have died for it, but I would have done it.
Oh, absolutely. But, you know, sometimes there's a reason that we're here and the players are there, Josh.
Because we're old.
Either way.
You're almost untrustworthy.
That's actually the only reason. Everyone knows if once you get past 28, you're no longer trustworthy. All right, well, it's not the turret broken bot side, but they do break the turret mid. So first turret to fall. As Blue Otter also did deny all the grub stacking. It's 3-3 on both sides. So neither team really having a huge advantage as we're approaching the mid lane, and lane assignments have swapped up. Levitate and Rovek should just be hanging out in the mid lane from this point on. Samikin and Toasty have gone bot. We're still on Toasty watch. I mean, you talked about the dragon stacking. We have the third dragon coming up in 50 seconds, but the fact that they denied one means that Toasty is in a much more comfortable position at this point. Already ahead as he's 2-1-1. As I like to say, Smolder with 0 stacks is like chopsticks and soup. Then he evolves to a fork and soup. Currently, he's a spoon. So he's actually able to do stuff. Just wait till he gets to ladle status at 225. That's when Smolder really starts to come online. And we're just kind of waiting for that point here on Supernova's side. They're not really pressured to make action happen right now.
Yeah, they don't really need to do a whole lot, and that means we have time to take a look at how the gold is doing across the entire team. We can see that Levitate right on top, of Toasty not far behind, but we do actually see a lot of members of Supernova hanging out in the bottom side of the river, whereas Quacker? He's coming out of base right now. He doesn't have great teleport wards. Supernova are setting up to try and contest this. They have the double Trinity Force just like their opponents do.
Okay. They feel confident in their spoon. Can Toasty provide the damage that they need for this fight? Also, Kenvi is going to be providing a lot of damage here on the brand. It's so hard to team fight 5v5 versus that unless you're able to find a pick ahead of time. And Quacker's a little behind the play. Supernova have 5 together, hitting the dragon already. Blue Otter are still on the approach. Rovek's coming in from the flank. It's an engage from Diamond of all people, though. And they caught Toasty! Just immediately taken down. Samikin and Rovek with a 1-2 punch, and it's not going to end there. Everybody's falling on Supernova's side. Blue Otter just let them get distracted by Dragon and pull the trigger. They get rewarded.
Look, I thought Blue Otter were going to have an advantage going into this fight. I did not think it was going to be that big of an advantage. They just blow that open. It wasn't close. The only person who even gets close to falling is Levitate in that fight. They get a couple of these camps. We'll take a look at how Diamond completely abandons Toasty in this fight. Because as Diamond goes in, he thinks he sees an angle onto Levitate. But with the sleep landing onto Toasty, the Smolder dies almost instantly. Kenvi now doesn't have any support. And when all of your carries are just going down one by one, it makes no sense for Faisal to go in and sacrifice his life at the same time. Diamond going in too aggressively suddenly means that these 3 relatively squishy carries have no one left protecting them.
Yeah, Toasty spilled the soup, unfortunately, right there, getting hit by the bowling ball to
No
start
soup for
things
them.
off there. No soup for Supernova. No dragon for Supernova. That is now 2 in the pocket of Blue Otter. And now a gold advantage. It was basically even. They were up about 700, but now with a 3,500 gold lead. That's something for Blue Otter to start working with.
Yeah. Ooh. Diamond going a bit aggressive. Not going to find anything too bad there as Rovex is just protecting some backs from the rest of his team. But Supernova, as they do get the bottom lane turret, they are putting pressure up on the top side turret. We do have to note that Toasty doing quite good on his stack so far. And one of the things that Samikin and Toasty, because of they're such good friends and therefore are punching each other in the face the entire time like you and I oftentimes do, we do end up seeing that Toasty has a lot of stacks because of the way that the interactions have gone. He just gets a lot of Dragon training.
Well, clearly you forgot about the first rule of Fight Club, but either way, the scraps are going to be fun to watch throughout the rest of this game. And I'm also looking at the fact that Kenvi is still strong on the brand. I still think that there are ways for Supernova to fight if they want to for right now, but they can still chill out and not be the ones first on the objectives, forcing Blue Otter to come into them. They can instead try and play poke with Toasty and with Lens. One of the things about Smolder that I have come to appreciate more is that he kind of feels like a poke champion. When the enemy's on objectives, you can throw out your abilities, and it's way harder for them to dodge when they're trying to DPS something. So see if Supernova keep trying to be the ones to control the tempo of the game, or if they will allow Blue Otter to be the ones to make the first move and try and answer.
Ooh, Toasty.
Looks like we're getting our answer here as we're making a play on the Samikin top side. Multiple members of Supernova are here, but Blue Otter not giving them the window to actually go for that dive.
The Quacker on the other side of the map. Oh, Rovix might be in a bad spot.
Gets slowed down by Faisal. We'll have to take the blast cone to safety, but it's not that safe. I mean, he's not out of the weeds yet, and I don't think he's going to make it there. Oh, that flash out of Lens with Cleanse. Music's over the top, trying to get that damage in. 2 summoner spells used by the AD carry, and teleport from Quacker, thinking maybe the play is going to continue, but Supernova, they find their pick, and they're out of there.
Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, it's easy to say I wish Quacker had stayed down in the bottom lane, just give up Rovex for dead, but that's not the Blue Otter way. They're too good of friends to do that kind of thing. Saving Private Rovex, unfortunately, goes wrong. This is one of the earlier scenes in the movie where they still haven't found him just quite yet, but either way...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's an earlier scene. They're still up in gold. They still have hope that they might find the right Private Ryan, but unfortunately, Rovex goes down in that one.
Don't they find, like, the wrong one at some point?
Yeah.
Like not the right Ryan? There's
it was
like a different one?
I think it was like, because the correct one is James Francis Ryan. I think they found like James Franklin Ryan or something like that.
Something like that. It's been a while since I've watched that movie, but shout out to Tom Hanks. He is the GOAT. Either way, Rovex does go down that time around. Maybe they can save him next time. Quick catch up on the current state of the game. We have 1 minute and 15 seconds until that dragon, and as I've been talking about, Supernova maybe don't have to contest. We'll see if they feel pressured to. Toasty is close to the big stack upgrade, but might not be able to guarantee it by the time dragon comes up. We'll be able to get this bot wave and then maybe one more wave. That should not be enough for 20 stacks is what Toasty needs to pick up.
Yeah. I mean, remember, we have to go back to when Rovex got caught out. The fact that Supernova have a dragon right now means that they don't need to contest this one. They don't have to play for Mountain Star right now because they just got a pick earlier. This is the knock-on effect. They can still play for it. But one of the big things that I really want to see Blue Otter try and do a little bit more is Quacker. He had an opportunity to be set up for success. He had a couple of early kills, but Wukong is a character that relies so much on actually getting some of these flangles. He's not necessarily playing for it. He's oftentimes grouped up with the rest of the team. But now,
ooh, Diamonds.
What is this?
Diamond's really far up, trying to engage onto Rovex. We're at the dredge line, and it's just gonna die. Yeah, that was ill-advised from the support of Supernova. Now Lens is gonna have to try and make something out of it, but he has no summoner spells, so Rovex saw the aim to go in, but they get onto Kenby instead. But it's now Faisal on the front line. Look at Levitate, jumping all the way back there to safety, free firing. It's all down to Toasty. Can the Smolder make a miracle happen? There's just no shot. Blue Otter, hard punish Supernova's mispositioning.
Yeah, you don't need to be better. They just need to be worse. What was that from Diamond? He's one of the most experienced players. This guy has had multiple titles, and he just dies for absolutely free. The Baron's currently going over. Samikin picks up the mid lane turret. He gets some damage on the next one. The double teleport comes through. Toasty and Faisal, can they get a miracle? They don't have a smite. It's gone.
It's already gone. Faisal and Toasty will now have to fight their way out of this. No flash on Toasty, but he's got the upgrade, and he's going in there. They just got to lock down the dragon. Does he have the damage? No! Not even close. Samikin with the double kill, and Baron is secured.
Toasty tries to go for the play. He gets one, but Samikin, his rival, finds two immediately off of that. And Blue Otter, now with the Baron recalls, they're going to be back on the field in time to actually play for this dragon. Diamond getting caught there. Like, Rovex getting caught? Sure, it cost him Quacker's TP. That kind of sucks. But Diamond getting caught? That was disastrous. And this is a huge win for Blue Otter.
I'd even argue that Rovex getting caught was better because Lens had to use Cleanse and the Flash to get out after Rovex died, and then didn't have it in that fight. Not only does Diamond go down, Lens arcade shifts forward into the fight, and then it's like, wait a minute, this is not where I want to be anymore. Blue Otter suddenly with a 6.3 thousand gold lead because of the decisions of the players on Supernova, and are very happy with the current state of the game. Things were falling apart a little bit there. It felt like they were going to need to find ways to outplay their opponent, but you said it your best. Sometimes you just got to give them the space to make the error.
Yeah, that was rough to watch. I would really love to hear what Diamond was thinking, like what he was seeing at the time, because sometimes when you go too far, the Peaky Blinders don't let you get anything done. But Blue Otter, they're now sitting up on the bottom side of the map. Remember, they don't have too many grubs, so they don't get the little voidlings, they don't get the Twitch chatters to help out with all this. They have to hit these turrets the old-fashioned way, which is not particularly easy to do, but they've already got a lot of damage on the mid lane turret. They're getting some chip damage now on the next one at the same time, but Kenby's doing a good job clearing out the waves.
Now I gotta ask, are Peaky Blinders the thing on like the horse, like on the side, to make them only be able to see forward?
So the blinders actually like force them to run forward, but if they peek, like if you have like little holes in them, the horses will run whatever way they want to.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. All right,
it's
well,
cheat at horse racing.
I bet you that, unironically, might improve my ranked grind if I invested in those, but we'll see.
So you can actually see the mini-map at the same time?
Yep, yeah, exactly. You know, just prevent any external distractors. Yeah. The siege continues. Baron is on a couple members, not on Levitate, but the rest will get it onto this mid wave as Quacker is trying to siege in mid, but the wave clear is too strong. Toasty and Kenby are enough to actually clear these waves out before they can hit the turret.
Ooh,
Quacker is actually getting a lot done mid.
Yeah, I mean, that's the mid lane inhibitor turret. That was a lot. The Trinity Force plus the Q plus the Demolish suddenly means, like, you know, 800 damage on a single turret. I could probably check that in a moment, but still, the Rally Cry Baron buff coming out from Blue Otter, it opens up the base, but I don't know how much it actually accelerated this game. Toasty is already at 244. They might get one more structure off of this. They do. So about 3,000. That ends up being okay. But now you have 3 minutes until the objectives spawn again, right? You have the Mountain Soul spawning in 3 minutes, the Baron buff is spawning in 3 minutes, and this is the big test for a lot of our younger teams, is you are really far ahead right now. You are up 8,000 gold. You have the opportunity to set yourself up to be at the objectives first. What does Blue Otter do with this time? Do they want to overplay their hand, or are they just going to let Toasty stack up? You have to make these very razor-thin decisions about how to make sure you get the maximum in all of these moments.
Yeah, when you have this much time before the objectives, I usually see it as one of two things. Either A, just farm up every resource you can to make sure that you have the maximum gold lead possible by the time the objectives spawn. Option 2 is that you don't give your opponent any time to farm up their own. Try and get aggressive, try and get up in their face. Yeah, you're not fighting for objectives, but you have an open inhibitor mid, so if you win a fight, you can just walk up and take that, and then that's going to give you the better angle for these objectives. And I love it when teams play more aggressively. That's just my internal bias. But it seems like Blue Otter are opting more for that first avenue where they say, just get every wave, shove them in, every camp as fast as we can. Make sure that we have our gold, make sure we have our timers so that we can have the maximum purchases by the time the Dragon and Baron spawn.
Yeah, you have to be very careful in these moments because when you went for the reset, you don't have a ton of vision, especially on the top half of the map, which is why we're seeing players like Samikin and Quacker back away right now. They don't have a full court press, and the members of Supernova are not showing. When you have this kind of lead, you also need to be very careful that you're not throwing, right? There's nothing for your teammates to pick up right now if you were to get caught. They're not in a position where they're going to be hitting any structures. They're not in a position where they can pick up another Dragon or the Baron. There's no reason to just blindly shove right now. And so Blue Otter, they're doing a good job. They want to get shoves going in about 30 seconds to make sure that they can set up for the Dragon effectively, but they don't currently have anyone on the top side of the map. I'd love to see Samikin or Quacker go bounce that soon.
I mean, that turret's pretty low also, so it actually could just go down if that wave crashes. And where it is right now, it's looking like that wave will get in. Nobody from Blue Otter's heading up there. Quacker does have TP. Yeah. He's opting to stick with the team and be first to the Dragon, but they still have a full minute, so there's absolutely time to go up and correct that. It looks like Samikin will be the one to eventually bite the bullet and head top lane.
Yeah, you just want to make sure you get that money. I really like having the opportunity. If you get the wave pushing now, and let's imagine that a fight happens around Dragon, suddenly that gives you the time to also go up towards the top side of the map so you can hit that turret, because the wave will be hitting that structure in about a minute, minute and a half. That will give you a lot of freedom to do that kind of thing. But now Samikin, he's got to book it down towards the other side of the map. They do have an opportunity to play for that.
The wave's now corrected, but now Supernova control the access point from mid lane into the Dragon. Now Blue Otter, they don't have to fight for that Dragon. They could go for the Quacker. Right, Quacker's on the flank right now, and they got the damage onto Kenby. He went into the stasis to dodge out on Music's ultimate. Now Quacker's all alone here. Toasty's got damage on him. He has to flash away with the Blast Cone used. Kenby's very low. Rovex might just go for the snap engage. Doesn't find it. Kenby's going to try and heal up off of the Dragon here using the jungle item. But now in a really precarious position. Quacker's still being marked by Faisal, but into the pin. Music does not win the smite fight. Kenby secures it.
Got him.
As now maybe they just get slaughtered after the fact. Supernova, congratulations, you got the objective, but now you're on the wrong side of the rift, friends. Faisal will go all out to try and get one back, but I think it's just gonna be a sweep. You get the Dragon, you lose everything else. Blue Otter, 5-0, and they're gonna go for the game.
Blue Otter were just the better team fighters this game, and it was not close, Kangas. The fact that every single time around these Dragons, that's a 5-0. We got to see a 4-0 earlier. Blue Otter just team fighting so much better than Supernova so far in this series, and it's going to get them game one. And Kangas, it's not just game one, it's game one on the red side of the map. This is Supernova throwing up the Cassante, the Smolder, the Ezreal, the Nautilus. This is supposed to be their game to win. It is a massive upset coming in from Blue Water to instantly get it right off the bat.
What a performance from Blue Water, being behind at points in the early stage to mid stage of that game. Things were rough with that early jungle invade, but Music did a great job bouncing back. And the rest of the team, like you said, just team fighting better. That was how they got their gold lead, was when anytime a dragon or a Baron fight was happening, they were just winning the fights. And I think Music was the big reason for that. The sleep onto Toasty Smolder at the first dragon fight, which really opened up the game for them, as well as his consistent invading and not letting Kenvi have any of his camps for free.
There's a massive reason why Music has been one of the front runners for the most improved this split. This guy has gotten so much better. If you told me at the beginning, I mean, I remember when this guy first joined the NACL and people kept hyping him up and I was like, I don't see it. I don't see it. This split, he just bested Kenvi, and he just bested Kenvi on one of Kenvi's best champions so far in summer at the same time. Music has been looking so much better. He's grown so much throughout the course of summer, and as the first player of the game, well deserved coming out on this champion. He's been looking fantastic.
The win on the red side. Blue Otter, interestingly enough, in the Winthrop series, in their first round of the lower bracket, also were opting for red side because they wanted that top lane counter pick. It came down to that versus Denethor, and we know that Quagger likes to play the carries versus Faisal. What happened in game one? Red side counter pick top lane for red 5, and it works out for them. Let's see if they can do it again, because this is a best of 5 Fearless Draft series. So we're going to send it to a short break before we are back with game number 2.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Dermaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
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 Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
And now, announcing the front runners for the summer 2024 NACL Most Improved Player. Up first in alphabetical order, Music.
Catch some of this poke, but not quite as tanky as you'd expect as the ECA goes wide.
Oh, everything's going wide. Blue Otter just need to turn around, but the culling going straight into Samikin. Spyrex able to get a decent amount of damage there. Pyroclasm back onto the back line now, though, and they're starting to do some serious damage. Psycho is going to give his life. Spyrex on the side is going down too, and the burn is enough. Music with a massive play for Blue Otter.
Next up in the mid lane, Toasty. That Rec Room's doing a lot of damage. It's now Toasty able to dodge out on the culling damage. Winter just threw a lot at the wall, and none of it stuck. Supernova position better in the fight. They kite back, absorb the cooldowns, and they are just sweeping this fight. Triple kill, quadra kill to Toasty. And last but not least, Zamudo.
Spyrex is trying to catch out Samikin. Quacker has the flank of a lifetime, and here comes Samikin. Stranglethorn gonna separate the fight. Blue Otter starting to lose some bodies, and Dragonsteel's trying to stack him up, but no, Zamudo, is he gonna have enough? Scary Jerry's there doing some work, as now Levitate's forced to run away. Zamudo steps up big, and he's looking to feed that big croc of his.
Once again, these are your front runners for the summer 2024 NACL Most Improved Player. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and following at Watch NACL so that you don't miss the official announcement.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Game 2 of our Round 3 lower bracket match between Blue Otter and Supernova, the rematch of these two teams. Supernova knocked Blue Otter down to the lower bracket in Round 1 of playoffs, but now this series, Blue Otter are getting an early revenge as they are up in the series. And I'm going to say it, Joshi, if history's anything to say, I know you were surprised by the red side win. I think that Blue Otter might just keep red side going forward because that top lane counter pick has been clutch for them so far for Quacker.
One of the big things as we take a look at the post-game breakdown presented by the real cost coming through, we will get to see that one of the most important parts of these best of fives is as the series goes longer, if you keep winning, that means you get more side selects as the series goes longer and longer. And in Fearless Draft like this one, that makes such a big difference. But you can see that first major spike around like 18, 17 minutes or so when Blue Otter just takes total control and they just wipe Supernova around the dragon. That's where the game starts getting bad. And then you can see it's not like it slowly grows. You see 2, 3 major spikes of gold coming into Blue Otter, and that is just them team fighting better than Supernova.
Every single one of those was an impactful team fight, despite the fact that Smolder did reach ladle status relatively quick in that game. But in our post-game breakdown presented by The Real Cost, it was not enough, as you can see. Did a lot of damage for his team, but everybody else on the enemy team doing far more, equally spread out pretty much. Music, of course, game player of the game. No surprise there on the Lilia, topping the damage charts. But a reminder, as we have LCS rating in, so welcome everybody who stuck around from the LCS. If you haven't checked out NACL yet, we have a fearless draft system, which means all the champions picked in Game 1 cannot be picked in game number 2. And it's best of 5, so it gets really funky by the end of the series where there are just 40 champions straight up not playable if there is a game 5 in this
and
best
no
of
bans.
5. And no
just
bans for that 5th game. The fourth
Yeah.
game would be 3 bans for each team, so it's very fun, the format and how different it is.
Yeah, I'm hoping you guys will enjoy it, but with that already coming through, that means that we have another game coming up. Just because Blue Otter wins the first one doesn't mean the series is over. We've seen that a lot of times. These series can go long. And Steve, I think there's another piece of really important stats that we have been skipping out on as we look at the history between Supernova and Blue Otter. Firstly, their Twitter socials just go at each other. It's great. Second thing, the first time Blue Otter and Supernova played each other was a 2-0. And then the second one was a 2-1. But that means Blue Otter got another win. Now, the question is, do we continue that? Do Blue Otter just get 2 wins this time instead of 3-2 for Supernova?
Yeah,
or does that mean that they win? Right? Like, I don't know exactly how counting works. I mostly just play with dice. So I'm going to need some help on that one.
Josh notoriously bad at math, so we'll give him time to calculate that one. While he's doing that, we'll catch up on the band champions. You see them on the screen a little small right now. Let's get them bigger for you. None of these champs are available for game number 2, and notably, the Smolder plus Ezreal plus Brand combo did lose in game 1. You were highlighting a lot of powerful meta picks in game 1 for the side of Supernova. I would argue a still good draft from the side of Blue Otter for game 2, but the fact that it was like a Wukong top lane as opposed to one of the, Quacker pocket picks, I think it gives them a lot more flexibility as the rest of this best of 5 series moves on.
Yeah, the one major power pick that I look at the side of Blue Otter, and I'm going to be, I really wish we got to see another game of that, is actually Levitate's Kai'Sa. I was looking for highlights for this guy relatively recently, and he oftentimes, when he has the ability to go aggressive, Levitate on this Kai'Sa really takes off. He really crushes fights. He turns a slightly winning one into a massively winning one. Unfortunately, for Blue Otter, this is the only time they're going to get to do it.
Yeah, and I still remember back to when Music first pulled out the Hecarim, and we had like Hecarim, Kennen, Vex, Kai'Sa. That was a crazy composition. Levitate popped off that time around. Still popped off on Kai'Sa this last time. We'll have to play something different for game number 2, but one thing will stay the same, and that is red side for Blue Otter. Supernova opting for blue side. I still feel like this is where Blue Otter's comfort zone is. In best of 5 so far in Fearless Draft, they've actually opted for red side a couple of times because they value Quacker's counterpick that highly.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it before game 1. Quacker just has this mental thing about Faisal where he wants to play carries into Faisal and just doesn't play tanks in this specific matchup. So I think
would
this
love
could
Leo.
work for Blue Otter.
If Leo is watching, I want to know the last time we had a best of 5 that went all 5 games where the 2 teams never swapped sides. Because that doesn't happen very often. If Supernova always picks blue and Blue Otter always picks red, like that is uncommon. It's usually teams go back and forth. But this time, as we get into it, Supernova is going to start things off. They ban the Ashe and they pick the Callista. Makes a lot of sense to me. You have a very strong champion. You have a lot of tools. And this is Lens being very aggressive. This is one of his best champions as well. We've seen how aggressive he can be. And Lens is a player that I think has quietly been a very strong marksman in the Challengers League series for a long time. We're consistently seeing him being one of the better marksmen, and this is a champion he's made a name for himself on.
He's gotten a lot of nods and past splits as, you know, one of the best, if not the best AD carry that we have in the league at certain times in his tenure at Tier 2. Having a good split so far. We'll see if he can continue that momentum. And that's the benefit of blue side in a fearless draft system, is that you get access to champions that are in a pinched pool. You know, we already have 2 AD carries gone, arguably 4 AD carries gone if you want to factor in Corki and Smolder into that equation. So Zeri's going to be the pick for Blue Otter. Not guaranteed to be mid lane. Typically we see Zeri mid more often than bot these days, but still could be going bot just because, like we had said, the pool is getting pinched.
Yeah, and a very strong potential combination here is the Renata is locked in for Callista. Obviously, their 2 auto attacks just go nuts hand in hand, and Supernova potentially playing a much heavier blocking composition with the Renata and the Poppy coming through, really making Vi fairly miserable in these kind of games. So Supernova, they're really trying to target one player so far in Music, and it pushes Blue Otter to play a much longer range style composition. But it kind of makes me wonder here, Kangas, one of the best players at playing artillery majors in the entire league is Samikin.
Oh, you're right. I mean, things like Zoe, things like Lux, he does love those champions, so it could be on the docket for Blue Otter. I'm wondering if they would go for a top lane counterpick at this point rather than letting Supernova ban some out. No, they're going for Rakan. So when you see the Poppy and the Renata locked in, I was agreeing with your initial statement. You can pivot your draft to say, okay, we're going to go less dive, less mobility, and more range. Rakan feels like it's playing a little bit into what Poppy and Renata are good at countering already.
Yeah, or you could just sacrifice your Rakan and special summon your Vi onto their backline. You know, you sometimes have to give up some cards in order to make the other ones even
Tribute
more
summon,
effective.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't play
Vi would
that
be a
game.
5
That's
star.
your thing.
Vi would definitely be 5-star.
But either way, it's definitely an opportunity for Blue Otter to go for things like the 1-2 punch. They do require a little bit of coordination, but Blue Otter showcased that they are a very strong team fighting team. They have a lot of trust in each other, and if Rogues is willing to say, watch me, Captain, witness me, and dive right on in, it's a way for them to play.
He's had a fantastic lower bracket run so far. Rovex has been that guy for Blue Otter, oftentimes finding the clutch engages that they need. Last time around it was Music and Quacker really in the driver's seat, but Rovex could still find those angles. I'm just worried for how many windows Rovex will actually have when you have the steadfast presence, as well as things like handshake, hostile takeover. But for now, it's focused on the mid lane for both these teams, as the Azir is banned out, Talia banned out. It seems like neither one of these teams really believes that the enemy mid laners have been locked in. No surprise from Blue Otter's side. Supernova, though, I am a little surprised, because that Zeri still could go mid lane, and these could be kind of wasted mid lane bans. Yeah,
it's not the exciting thing. You always have the back and forth like, okay, well, I picked something that can play in multiple roles. Do you want to force it to play in one position? That is one option available to Supernova. But now Blue Otter, they still have a couple of champs left to pick. They did miss a ban, still waiting to see if that is a confirmed missed ban coming out from Blue Otter.
Oh, interesting.
But
yeah,
they do have another champion up in the top side to pick. That's almost definitely going to be last. So we're going to learn very quickly what this Zeri is going to be doing.
Yeah, we'll see. Do they give away the Zeri Flex now? They do. They really value that red 5 Quacker because the Poppy technically could pivot towards jungle. You can make arguments that, you know, it's not locked into the top lane, so you don't know if you're actually counter-picking the Poppy or not. So they're going to drop the Flex pick to guarantee Quacker gets that counter pick. It's Zeri bot lane, Orianna mid.
It's also still not ridiculous for the Zeri to go top lane, but, you know, it's a different meta. None of us are Zeus in this one. Syndra is going to be the answer here for Toasty going up against Samikin. Now, this is a matchup that is really explosive. Syndra has a bit of a range advantage a lot of the time. However, Orianna, if they actually get in, if they can trade damage evenly, it ends up being very good for Orianna a lot of the time. Syndra will do a lot of scaling, but she really bursts out one champion, whereas the Orianna just does quite a bit. So we'll watch how Samikin's movement goes as Renekton comes through.
Yeah, and we're rewarded on Blue Otter's side. They do not take the bait and try and counter the Poppy in top lane. They say, no, we don't know where Poppy's going. It is actually jungle for Kenvi, and Faisal's pulling out the Renekton. So what does Quacker want to play into Renekton? It's going to be on everybody's minds. He's so far been trying to play for the lane every time he matches up against Faisal in the top lane, but Shen has been in the wheelhouse of Blue Otter. They played it in their last series, and they're playing it again. It's locked in.
Wow, there's a lot of confidence coming in from Blue Otter. Now that they have already won the first game, they have a bit more freedom to kind of experiment with games 2 and 3 because they have that buffer coming through. Now, this is a matchup that is okay for Shen. The biggest thing is you don't lose that badly most of the time. And of course, if you ever get the Shield of... It's not the Shield of Daybreak. Whatever the Spirit Zone, I think it's called, that Shen has, you can block out the stun for multiple people. It's really good into Kalista. However, the major thing here is we have seen Quacker play a very supportive role, building things like the Redemption on the Shen in the past. And so he can neutralize a lot of Faisal's power, but puts a lot of pressure on Levitate on the other hand.
Yep, Spirit's Refuge, great ability on Shen for that counter play. And also, I believe it stops the Ren stacks from coming in from Lens. I'd have to double check that in game, or maybe somebody else has more information on Kalista's interaction with it, because yes, the damage wouldn't go through, but I don't know if the on-hit effect would still apply, because I think you just dodge it entirely.
Yeah, so things like Twisted Fate's stun just don't happen. Because you're not getting auto-attacked is how that ends up working out.
Yeah.
However, we are noticing that he does have the Ultimate Hunter, so going to be getting that Stand United as often as possible. And looking at the rest of it, I really like this. A lot of Blue Otter fans in chat like this as well, so Supernova fans, you gotta be representing a little bit more than that. As Blue Otter, very popular so far. But as we jump into this game, I'm liking Blue Otter once again. The biggest thing about this is they're putting a lot of pressure on the rookies in Samikin and Levitate to be their damage carriers, because Quacker is not going to be doing that. He's not going to be contributing a whole lot of damage in this one. Instead, a very supportive piece on this Shen, whereas Faisal shouldn't be running him over, but has the ability to do so.
I won't even consider that a debuff for Blue Otter, though. There's a reason that Samikin and Levitate are in the conversation for Rookie of the Split. I think that they absolutely have the ability to be the carries. As Faisal can be in a 1v3 scenario right here. Blast count taken by Rovex. Support and top lane are just pushing Faisal out. They're going to try and get Flash out of him. I don't know if they have enough damage to really threaten that, but Faisal's not even going towards the turret. I mean, Rovex is going to have his Battle Dance available again, or Grand Entrance, but Faisal will just walk away instead, go for the reset, teleport back to lane, I have to assume. And it's a lane swap. Levitate and Rovex are laning top lane, while Lens and Diamond are hitting the bot wave.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting adaptation. Most of the time in the LCS, you're seeing the top laner and the AD carry go top, push in that wave to give Quacker some of the experience instead of Rovex on the other side of the map. Faisal getting absolutely nothing. At least Quacker's getting a couple of grasp procs, but I also really like this from Lens and Diamond. They're catching the wave high, making sure that there are not as many champions in range, so you do more damage to the turret. Whereas on Blue Otter, one, they're hitting the top side turret, so they're not doing any damage to it anyway. But you're also getting the maximum coming through for the side of Supernova on the bottom half. The one thing about this is Quacker, he's actually going to be doing okay, whereas Faisal trying to find some way to be relevant on the map. He's going to have an opportunity to go for this proxy, and Levitate and Rovex much less susceptible to dives than Quacker on his own.
Yeah, Faisal wasted a decent amount of time there heading bot, now walking all the way top. But also important to note that, yes, Music gets the invade, but Kenvi was ready for it. Kenvi actually took away all the camps from Music on the bot side of the Rift. So I think that overall, Supernova might walk out of this with more gold in their pockets. Now we're just going back to general lane assignments. But look, it's Cole picked up by Levitate. I don't even think they got a plate topside. And they might just die here because there's multiple people around. Rovex does sniff it out. So the jig is up. Kenby and company got to get away. But that's 2 plates picked up by Lens. Hasn't backed yet to spend the gold. But I got to imagine that Supernova's bot laner is just going to be ahead after this lane swap.
Yeah, you have to imagine that Lens will have a lot more power in this lane, but at the same time, Quacker dodges out on some of the worst parts of the lane for the Shen now that he is already level 2. It's not just that he's level 2, he's also almost level 3. At the same time, he is significantly ahead of his opponent in experience, and that gives Quacker a lot more freedom. So you're trading a bit of a scaling champion on the Levitate side compared to Lens, who has a lot of the power now. You're robbing them of the ability to get even more ahead, but you are giving them, it's like, hey, you are this far ahead, and now music goes topside. Quacker should have taunt.
That's only a level 2 Renekton. Slice used, dice available, gets knocked up to start, taunted up as well. First blood to music. Faisal does not respect the damage and pays the price.
And Faisal is going to hate his life this game. Look at how big this wave is. Look at where the position of it is. It's pushing into Quacker at the same time. Quacker still has a teleport. He's going to have a freeze up on the top side. At least Faisal still has the flash. But this is really putting a lot of eggs in the Quacker basket right now. And this is Blue Otter really understanding how some of these early games can go. The first one, they misplayed it a little bit. But this time around, this is a beautiful play coming out from Blue Otter.
And legitimately, I think you're happy that the gold goes over to music there, because he can now carry that elsewhere around the map. You're probably not going to continue playing into the Shen over and over again, but now the Vi, if you're able to get to that first item spike a little bit faster, you can actually really threaten the damage onto Toasty and Lens, as long as you, of course, can get through the steadfast presence handshake. But never mind. You know what? Maybe we will just play the top lane. Maybe music is just going to go for another gank. That's a big wave. Quacker doesn't want to give it up, so they call it off. But music is just not relenting in this series. Game 1, it was about invading Kenby. Game 2, it's about just hovering this top lane.
Yeah, don't love showing there on the top side if you're not actually going to go for the full commit. The wave was too big, and now they have some information leaving Kenby some alone time with the dragon. But one of the big things we've been hearing from the players on Blue Otter is how much credit they've been giving to their coaching staff, Sneezes and Thin Uncle Phil, and this series so far has really showcased the kind of planning that their coaching staff and their analysts are doing for this team. They have some fantastic early game plans, whereas Supernova is like, well, what if we play standard? We're very good players. We're going to win all of our lanes. It's not quite happening because Supernova are not having an opportunity to just play boring normal lanes.
Envy can't just farm a normal jungle clear. Top lane can't just expect the Renekton into the Shen matchup to go his way early on. And even Toasty has been struggling more against Samikin in the mid lane than necessarily I expected. When I think about Samikin historically, and it's not a lot of history to pull from, he's a rookie in the league this split, saw his tryouts and combine performances in the offseason. But during those performances, it was not about the lane phase, it was about the impact on the map and his willingness to get onto the map. Even on things like Orianna, he would roam around and get bot lane, get top lane, help out his jungler. But so far this split, he's been doing a much better job of just winning laning phase as Quacker gets the outplay on the Faisal right there. And actually just doing a lot of damage here. He hasn't even picked up an item yet and almost just solo kills Faisal.
Yeah, this is a really good position for the Shen. I would love to be playing in Quacker's shoes at the moment. I would probably still lose because Faisal's a bit better than we are, but either way, Blue Otter with so much control on the map right now, and music is going to be hitting away at these grubs without a lot of contest. I would be very surprised. Normally, when you have a Renekton, you used to get the Rift Herald for free. Now you oftentimes get some of the grubs for free, but Faisal does not yet have ultimate at 7.5 minutes in. That is a beautiful opportunity for Blue Otter to pick those up, and Kenby tries to come in, but does not smite away the first one.
And Faisal will be here in time to help contest for the third, but nope, no contest. Kenby will just walk away. Music picks up all 3 of the first grubs and is still topside, so Faisal's got to be careful up here too, because now level 6 from Music. There's a chance you even get dove. He wasn't level 6 yet. Yeah, he's still level 5, halfway to 6.
Yeah, Quacker just about to ding level 7, will do so very shortly, and now as Music moves towards the bottom side of the map, Rovex and Levitate have to be a bit careful because Kenby showed briefly up towards the grubs, but didn't spend a lot of time there. He's going to be going for a reset. My one worry now, so whenever you watch Shens, one of the big things you have to look at is, could they go for a Stand United right now? Because the answer is, not really. Faisal's in lane, the wave is pushing into him. Quacker really doesn't want to ult out of the wave right now. He will if he has to, but you look for opportunities to use a Stand United aggressively. So Quacker, you see he's backing away, doesn't love the idea of going for an ultimate, but he will do it if it means keeping Levitate alive.
He's actually backing all the way off the wave. Quacker's positioning in case he needs to use it.
Yeah.
I think maybe they're thinking the bot lane could get dove in that moment. Music was on that side, so it would have been a really rough time for Supernova to go for that, but Quacker, he's ready, doesn't need to use it, and we'll just catch this wave. I think that overall Blue Otter feel like they're in a very comfortable position. They have a very small gold lead, but they also are playing the map just a little bit more efficiently. Look at this farm advantage, specifically in the jungle. Music is out jungling Kenvy right now.
For the second game in a row as well. So Blue Otter doing a really good job playing through all of this. I actually really like watching Quacker right now on the Shen because, one, I used to play a lot of this champion, so I always like to see how good players are doing it. But the other thing that's always really interesting is seeing how they move around the rest of the team, because nothing that Shen does is an isolation. You have to think about what everyone else on the team is doing. Backed away because he knows that Kenby should be on the bottom half of the map. He was right. There was an opportunity for Supernova to look for a dive. They didn't go for it, but making sure that he's backing away at the right times to support his team when they need it just showcases that Quacker, from his time on Winthrop, where he would always come down to the bottom side around 8 to 10 minutes, still thinking about those same opportunities that he learned on a previous team.
Much more defensive game plan. He's going for a reset right now. Has not picked up a purchase yet. Music literally has Black Cleaver before Quacker has backed to Fountain to pick up an item. As he'll pick up the Bramble Vest boots. Omnisender teleport back to the minion to catch this wave. What a purchase from Quacker.
Yeah, Renekton is very sad when he sees those combination of items. Like, no. The Grievous Wound and just the free magic damage coming out back and forth across the entire thing. Blue Otter, I mean, we were a little bit worried about how things were going to be going in these normal laning phases. The fact that they gave Lens and Diamond that small lead, but it hasn't really done anything. If you actually take a look at the gold, you are going to see that Lens, yeah, he's got a lot of gold, but Levitate's not that far behind. We haven't seen anyone really jump out ahead. In fact, Music, the only one who has a significant lead over their lane opponent, and the lead that Quacker has over Faisal is bigger than the one that Lens has over Levitate. So ultimately, Blue Otter, even though the early game was a little bit suspect, the immediate follow-up with the gank onto Faisal, make sure that they don't actually have any parts of the map where they're weaker. And Kangas, the last thing I want to say before I let you talk again, I did not expect this to be true, because if you had asked me before this series, I would have said that Supernova should have pretty much an individual match advantage in every single player on the Rift, and Blue Otter has completely nullified it.
Well, it's been the team fights at the objectives where Blue Otter have been outperforming Supernova throughout game 1 at least. They're not going to go for the fight at the second dragon. It is uncontested. Supernova stacking those early on as the second spawn of grubs are coming up, and Music is directly on top of them. So it looks like Blue Otter are happy to take the trade of objectives for now. Probably going to start fighting at later dragons, and I'm actually a little surprised that they haven't gone for earlier ones when Vi is this strong this early. I actually think that they had a window where they could have looked to fight.
They could have. There's not a lot of follow-up to it, though. You're committing to Stand United from Quacker to keep Music alive, because he is most of your damage at this point in the game.
Got Orianna Shockwave.
Yeah, but
delivery.
When you're level 11, it starts doing damage. It doesn't. It's mostly just crowd control right now. But we will see Supernova as they pick up this bottom lane turret. First turret will go over to that team. That is going to be a lot of plays getting picked up by Lens and Diamond. But 6 grubs, grub again, and Blue Otter gets the Twitch chatters. They were already voting for this team. Now they're going to be helping them out on the Rift. And Quacker, in this very long lane, actually has opportunities to chase Faisal down if he tries to go for any contests.
And a lot of the gold lead that Lens had was actually from the plates themselves, was not that far ahead in CS, and the fact that Levitate picked up Cole meant that even one wave of advantage doesn't mean much once that Cole is completed. And guess what? Levitate's catching all of the plates topside because they go for another lane swap. So the delayed trade, but it is a turret for turret trade nonetheless.
And now this is Supernova's turn. What do they want to do? There's not a lot to play for. They have about a minute until the Rift Herald spawns. So just kind of waiting around. Supernova, they have some scaling tools available to them, right? Toasty is going to do a crazy amount of damage because he gets that free Rabadons kind of built into his kit. And of course, you can buy the Rabadons also later in the game. But, I mean, even as Faisal goes for this is not going to be a trade he's going to win.
Yeah, he does not heal up because of the grievous wounds. Is taking burn damage from the bombies the longer the fight goes. And yes, you got that Conqueror, but hard to guarantee that you stick on top of Quacker, so... They're playing for top lane instead. It's Faisal, just survive against the Shen for right now. You're kind of past the point where you're able to just crush him. Although getting close to the Black Cleaver, so maybe we do actually find a window here where Faisal will start to be able to shred through Quacker. But they're playing to the lens, and I gotta say, I agree with that idea from Supernova. The Callista is where most of your gold is right now and has that completed Blade of the Rune King already.
Yeah, and as the plates fall off, we can take a look. 500 gold getting picked up right here for Lens throughout all those plates, whereas on the other hand, Blue Water sharing it, you know, pretty equitably across the team. But now we have the Rift Herald starting, and this should be the first opportunity to really go for a fight, as Samikin can teleport into the mid lane, Quacker backs away, but he is anywhere he wants to be with a Stand United.
And Rovex using the Grand Entrance right there means that there's just no engage tool anymore, unless Music wants to throw his body in, taking a lot of damage. Rovex gets chunked to half from just Toasty, so Kenvi does pick up the Herald. No answer from Blue Otter. They've done a good job so far in the second half of the summer split of winning these team fights at the objectives, but that time they did not find their way in.
Not able to go for anything. That is perhaps my one criticism of Blue Otter, is they have good setups once they're set up, but they're a little bit slow to get there. Right. Against teams that have like more DPS against these objectives, like imagine that there was like a second marksman in the mid lane for Toasty, and they just burst some of these objectives, Blue Otter will get run over by that, but unfortunately for Supernova, not quite fast enough to make that effective.
Yeah, so Kenvi getting the Herald means that now he's got the decision of where they want to place that. Dragon's coming up in a minute and 10. They already have 2 of those, so I imagine that we'll see the Herald go down just before the Dragon spawning, so that's a big distraction tool that they can use. Blue Otter will have to try and find an earlier setup if they want to contest this Dragon. Right now, Samikin's catching the top wave. He's going to have to use this window here to probably back and then run straight to the objective if they want to contest it.
And we still have Samikin up in the top side of the map. Ooh, Toasty. Gonna have to back away. Everybody has their flashes, everyone has their combat summoners still available, but you also have to note that Faisal is still up in the top side. Samikin not rotating down. He knows that he does not have any vision. They don't need to contest this one, but it does leave them in a bit of an awkward position, as now Faisal doesn't know that Samikin's here.
Okay, he's good. Oh, wait, he's walking up to actually fight Faisal. Samikin, I guess, had Rovex near-ish, so the thought process was we can try and collapse if the enemy top laner is going to do something silly, but I gotta say, I'm favoring Supernova's chances of getting this Dragon, unless Music can get in for a Smite steal with the Herald push. They have first hit on mid-wave. They have teleport advantage from their top laner, who actually just walks down to group up with everybody here. And Samikin's still not even on the same side of the rift, so Supernova will start up the Dragon. How bad does Blue Otter want to try and contest this? Music's not ready for it. Nobody's ready for it. They're just giving the third drag for free. I suppose it's not for free. They are getting pushed top. Maybe Samikin can get some damage on this turret.
They're also trying to push out Faisal to make him go the long way around, but it's very clear that the call from Blue Otter is we will give that up, and we should be able to get this top lane turret that's 2 kills worth of gold, because Rovex should be able to walk his way out, but they don't even get that. Faisal commits the ultimate, and now as everybody runs away, can be chasing.
Kenvi hunting and flashes with a steadfast presence to block the blast cone. Kenvi, what a smart play. And now they're going to get flash out of Music. Vault Breaker to safety. I think Blue Otter are out from there, but Samikin goes down.
Really good stuff from Kenvi. This is one of the strongest players we've had in the Tier 2 ecosystem, and we are getting to see why in that last play, flashing for the steadfast presence, making sure that Samikin cannot blast on his way out of that. But Quacker at the same time, I mean, remember when we looked at those super efficient components? He's got to lock it now. Blue Otter are committed to playing for the next dragon. They're waiting for Samikin to get a couple more levels. They're waiting for Levitate to be on that second item. They're not going for any of these fights. I'm a little bit worried if plays start happening like that, where Supernova are able to pounce on all these players. They will have a lot of these flashes. They will have a lot of the Comet Summoners back up, ready to go for the next fight. And Blue Otter, they scale well, but it's not obvious to me that they just scale strictly better.
Yeah, it feels like Blue Otter, I don't know, maybe they expected Supernova to be more aggressive, and then the Shen pick would give them more value, but I mean, other than Bob and Faisal right there in the 1v1, Shen has not been able to accomplish much, and Blue Otter has not been able to accomplish much. Grubageddon, but they're still tied in turret takes. They're behind a lot of dragons, and they're getting played on mid here. Levitate's taking a lot of damage. He's going to have to back off, so this mid turret might fall. Supernova are just the ones saying, all right, well, we're going to go here and do this. Are you going to stop us? No? Cool. We're going to go here and do this. You're going to stop us? No? Cool. And they've just been getting back-to-back objectives on the Rift.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the kind of playstyle that you and I would have if we were playing against each other. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to take this, Steve. Are you going to do anything about it? No. What about this one?
Hey,
no.
hey.
But,
hey.
hold on.
Hold on. The inactive side.
Because suddenly, you will just be like, okay, but I'm going to fight you for this. It's like, wait, why are you fighting me for this one? And it'll suddenly go well for you. You know?
Oh, I do get bored often. Yeah,
yeah, and sometimes
right,
it's really good. Sometimes it's really good when you get bored because I'm like, wait a second, you shouldn't be contesting this. I wasn't ready.
You lull the opponent into a false sense of security that you're not going to do anything on the Rift. And then, yeah, take him by surprise. Works every time. Most of the time.
Most of the time. And if it doesn't, well, the game just ends. But that's all right. You're able to do it both ways. And now Blue Otter, they're getting Samikin level 13. That's a maxed W as well, has the level 2 ultimate. Quacker, also level 12, has the first of his mini support items completed with some very efficient components also at the same time. But you really need to get Levitate and Samikin to those second items at this point. Once Samikin hits level 16, the Shockwave will do a ton of damage. But that's not going to happen before this upcoming dragon here, gang. That means that Supernova have the tempo on the map. They have the initiative. They're the ones who can force a lot of these plays, and they're constantly nickel and diming Blue Otter.
Supernova have vision priority currently around the river of the top side, but there's one deep ward that I'm looking at right now, because that could be a flank from Quacker if Baron started up. There's really no reason to go for it. Dragon's up in 1:25, and nobody's set up the vision line yet other than one deep ward the Blue Otter got down. So if anything, Supernova might need to start considering getting that vision line down right now. If you drop a ward here, it will still be up by the time the dragon has spawned, so you can use it for threatening teleport flanks. You can use it just to spot out if Blue Otter are going to actually walk in and contest you for this one. But let's see what happens after these resets, because support is usually their job. Diamond running directly to that bottom river, what I like to see.
Quacker running towards the top side with that Stand United, and Samikin running down towards the bottom lane. They have all of these tools available to themselves. They even have both red and blue buff ready to go for this upcoming fight. So Blue Otter have their flashes coming back up. They will be able to fight on pretty even terms. They have 2 items completed on Samikin, whereas Toasties will be in question, as he has not yet completed his second item. But Faisal already looking for a potential opportunity to set things up, just allowing Quacker to push very aggressively.
Okay, Steadfast Presence still available for Kenvi to block any of the engage, so Music doesn't want to hard commit for it. Faisal tanks up a little bit of damage, but the turret goes down. Eber's Verdict was used there by Kenvi, but he did not actually second cast it, so goes to a short cooldown, and it is now back again. Supernova yet again have the inside track of the dragon, and it has spawned, so they can start this up after they push out mid-wave.
You don't really want to give over this dragon, so Blue Otter are definitely in a position where they have to fight for it, and look at where Music has gone. He's in a perfect spot to go for a steal and a flank, and that blue trinket, I don't think it's on him. Oh, now they see him.
Oh, well, he went in anyway, jumps in onto Lens, finds the angle. There's no follow-up, though. The taunt goes through, but Lens is still alive. He's able to dance back away. What a hostile takeover from Diamond to buy all the space for the AD carry. Nobody falls on either team. We've repositioned in the fight. Dragon still about half health right now. Toasty untouched here, very high health. Can play aggressively with flash available. Samikin cannot do the same. The initial burst was not enough to kill Lens, and now Blue Otter are reeling from that one a little bit. I think they got rocked, expecting to take out the enemy.
Ooh,
It's going to be
levitate.
a smite fight for the Dragon. Can music get in there? But no, Kenvi secures the Dragon's soul. And Supernova now can take the fight afterwards. Lens with the ultimate. Keeper's Verdict is still available, but here we go. They're just dancing around. Lens with another kill. Slays down one. Double over to Samikin.
Oh, no way!
This is actually crazy. The triple kill comes
No
through.
way!
Music's still up there. Kenvi dives
What?
deep, but nobody was on Samikin. He gets the triple and lives. Supernova go absolutely crazy at the end of the fight. They get the objective, but there's just no fight for them afterwards.
God, Lens did so much work in that fight, dodging everything, and he still dies. And Blue Otter have people alive. Toasty, the only one left. He has to teleport, because here we go. Blue Otter, they're starting up the Baron. They are very low. They have Samikin, they have music. Samikin has to block out this Syndra, or this could be a disaster.
Toasty saw his flash. Toasty has the ultimate available. Toasty can be that guy. He tries to flash away, but the shockwave pulls him back in. And we have the
Levitate.
ultimate yet again. That is a kill. That's a rampage for Samikin. But Toasty did his job. He denied the Baron. So Blue Otter will have to take their bags.
Oh my gosh, Blue Otter, they really pushed that team fight to the maximum. One thing they missed out was a smite on the Mountain Soul. So Supernova do have that increased tankiness. Look at how far music has to go around in order to try and find this ultimate. And you even see the blue trinket, like we called up before, trying to spot out where Vi was. We'll get to see if it actually spots out. Ooh, I do think, yeah, the pings immediately go there. And then they try and find it. They go on to Lens. They use Music's ultimate. They use the Stand United. The Extendo Beam even lands. But the shockwave from Samikin. That's the difference. If they take down Lens, this fight is not close. Blood are trying to manufacture opportunities for themselves, but they have to clutch it out at the end.
I couldn't tell where Samikin was at the initial play. Where was the shockwave? Too far away. Flash forward and then sombreros it. Trying to follow up on the engage there.
Watch Lens for the rest of this too. I mean, he will dodge out on so many things. He dodges out on the Haunt. He dodges out on the next grand entrance, making sure that he stays alive. Not that one, but in just a moment, we get to see that this Callista goes absolutely nuts, moving back and forth between different targets. He's able to dodge out on Quacker here, and he dodges the grand entrance in the other direction, finds so much damage, barely misses out on killing Levitate, because the Ren did not reset, ends up dying to a burn. Blue Otter proving they're so clutch in these team fight situations, but going up against Mountain Soul, that's a tough hill to climb.
Lens almost clutched out that fight. What a performance. Survives the initial dive from Music, because Vi damage alone is not going to be enough, and then almost survives all of that. Has barrier back up, no flash. Let's see if Lens can do it again. Baron is started. Expects the team fight, but expect Blue Otter to be a little slow on the play. They have Stand United from Quacker. Music's going the long way around, but they need the time for Levitate to make it in. Faisal's going to see Levitate. They spot out Music. Supernova, do they stay on the Baron, or do they take the fight? They're burning it down. They know where Music is. Eyes on the Vi. Eyes on Toasty over the wall. Get some damage on a Rovax. Stand United means that he cannot get out of there. They got a lot of damage. He's got a flash as the hostile takeover hits onto multiple members. And now Faisal's playing it around. Music got knocked out of the fight. Quacker's going through the front line, and he tosses out Faisal. Faisal's in trouble. Levitate can follow up. Oh, the bailout almost saves the Renekton, but not quite enough.
Round two.
As now Viel comes through. They call him Lens. No flash available, and he goes down. Rovex with the re-engage. Toss follow-up from Quacker means that Diamond's in trouble, and Supernova's fight fell apart. They had the Baron. They thought maybe we could take the fight afterwards, but they lose both.
It feels like Blue Otter are ulting twice in every single one of these fights because they're saving it from the initial engage. We get to see that Music and Rovex both still have their ultimates in the back half of that fight, and that's difference maker. Now they are once again taking down the Baron. They are in control. The Mountain Soul means nothing, and Blue Otter are setting themselves up for not just a first win, but a second win going into this one as well. They are out team fighting Supernova, and Supernova looks lost.
It looked so good for Supernova at the start, too. Kenvi lands the Keeper's Verdict onto Music. There's no Vi in the fight, but they still lose the fight. They're not able to get onto the damage dealers of Blue Otter effectively, and Blue Otter are just so good in these tense situations. Time and time again, they show that this is their strength. The 5v5 at the neutral objectives is where they practice, it's where they're strong, and it's where they find their wins. Now with a 5,500 gold lead, with Baron buff picked up.
but none of it will matter if Supernova gets the Elder Dragon. None of the advantages Blue Otter have picked up are going to be enough to beat Supernova if they have both the Mountain Soul and the Elder Dragon. We are less than a minute away from that opportunity for Supernova to try and equalize the game. Blue Otter, they've done a fantastic job. Samikin now level 16 with the Rabidons. That Shockwave will destroy members of Supernova, and they are just now, with the Rally Cry Baron buff, picking up the mid lane outer turret. They are at least a whole clean fight away from ending the game, and Faisal trying to force Quacker in the top side.
Yeah, full 1v1 up top lane. Faisal's not even winning that one, as he's going to have to jump away. Shen is just such an oppressive champion with all the stats that you get. Your on-hit damage from the Q cannot be understated, as the rest of Supernova here are trying to maintain control over mid-wave. The Baron buff makes it difficult, but Elder Dragon starting in 10 seconds, so they don't really have a choice. They have to contest here, despite the fact that the last couple of fights have not gone Supernova's way. They got to shake that off and try their best to approach here, keep Blue Otter away from this river.
Blue Otter, Quacker just backs away, still has the ultimate available. Faisal does not. It'll be coming up relatively soon, but Music seems to think Supernova are going to be coming down towards the Elder Dragon, but instead, Quacker going to be clearing out the bottom side of the map, going to be going for that push. Music still pushing and prodding, forcing Faisal away from the top side of the map, and Quacker hasn't got anything yet, but he's constantly asking questions, and now Blue Otter are the ones who are starting this one up. They see where everyone on Supernova is. Can Faisal try and find a flank here? Music instantly turning to try and spot him.
Battle lines have been drawn. Music was looking for Faisal on the flank. Rovex is now going to have his job to be to match that. I don't know if I like it, though. I'd rather have the Rakan looking on the other side of the fight. Yet Quacker go towards Faisal. Blue Otter trying to answer here, but the flash engage on the Samikin, he flashes away just fine. Blue Otter have absorbed the initial engage. Kenby no longer has the ability to jump in onto this dragon. If we just focus on Kenby, Samikin backs, teleports back into the bottom lane. Blue Otter just need to play slow. Samikin heals all the way back up, still has the Shockwave, so watch for the engage. Blue Otter right now, they're going for the Shockwave in. Toasty trying to get away from it. Big engage, but not enough damage. He got the Samikin's down! Lens flashes forward, makes the hero play with Faisal behind him, and they are not done here. They get the cleanse out of Levitate. He still has the flash available. Maybe the Zeri can do something crazy here, but they lost their mid laner. Blue Otter are going to be fighting a man down.
That's so clutch from Kenby, and knocking Levitate. So much of the team's damage was out of that fight, and Faisal single-handedly pushing Music and Rovex away. The Elder Dragon is picked up here for Supernova. They have a massive window, but the window, it's not forever. Once the Elder Dragon falls away, they really need to make sure that they are set up to pick up this Baron. They need to continue chaining these objectives, and if Kenby doesn't hit those ultimates on players like Levitate next time around, Levitate is going to tear that fight apart.
Yeah, the 2-minute timer is not going to be enough to use it for the Baron itself. They can maybe try and find a pick before Baron spawns, but by the time that Baron's up, Blue Otter can look to take a fight. They're now losing that gold lead, though. Supernova are clawing their way back here within 4,000, and with that, Dragon's Soul, they have a lot of stats there as well, so it's a relatively even game. All things considered, Supernova have a lot of standing gold on the map to go for with this top outer turret. They might even go for another one here, because Blue Otter currently do not have numbers around here to try and answer this. They're going to make the play mid instead.
I mean, it makes sense to me. You go where your opponents are weak. They will be getting this mid lane turret that puts them, they don't even need to win a clean fight at this point, and Supernova, they're going to be letting their base get open because they are slower to the play. I would never have said that Supernova was going to be the team that was behind the play against all these rookies, but Blue Otter showcasing that they're able to do more than just team fight.
I think Blue Otter did not factor in the 6 grubs that Blue Otter picked up earlier. Supernova not winning the side lane turret race even close. They lose their middle inhibitor as well, while they have the Elder Dragon, mind you. So Blue Otter with a fantastic macro play there. You're right, play where your opponent is not. You're not going to beat them with Elder Dragons, so just avoid them. If they're showing 4 topside, well, guess what? You have the rest of the rifts to play to, and Supers will give them a lot of priority as Baron is coming up in 30 seconds.
Yeah. There's about 35 seconds. There will be a couple seconds where Supernova has the Elder Dragon and the Baron has spawned, but Blue Otter, they're still in a position where they're very strong. The one thing I do want to point out is how effectively the Shockwave was neutralized between the Locket that can be brought up, as well as all of the Mountain Dragon stats they are hitting. We did not get to see the same kind of just raw output from Samikin as I was expecting to go into Lens, partly because he also has that Negatron Cloak, so he is way tankier to magic damage than we were initially looking at. But overall, Blue Otter, they really gambled the last time in a fight by trying to go for that big Wombo combo. It didn't quite work, and now the Baron is here. They don't have Elder Dragon anymore. This is a fair fight.
5v5, it's just the 3,500 gold lead versus the 4 dragons stats worth of that Supernova have.
Music again.
They're on the Baron first. If they have the Poppy ultimate, Keeper's Verdict can try and keep Music out of there. Music's all alone here. He's going onto the back line, ults in,
and he's gone.
Now he's knocked out of the pit. He's just too far away. And Lens with the Ren stacks can secure the Rally Cry Baron buff. Supernova played that one well. Blue Otter, I think, a little impatient. Music went in very early without the rest of the team. And Supernova just walked away. They're happy with the Baron buff and resets.
Yeah, can be able to knock away Music, which knocks away Quacker at the same time. Unfortunately, the things that Blue Otter were doing for themselves earlier on, where they were saving their ultimates for later in the fight to turn it around, not coming to fruition this time. And the Rally Cry Baron buff on Supernova, they chained the Elder Dragon into the Baron buff. Now they're looking to try and claw back the gold lead that was 6,500 in favor of Blue Otter just 4 minutes ago.
Now it's only within 2,000. I'd argue that the Dragon Soul stats that you're getting are worth more than that across the entire team. Faisal teleports into the bot lane to get a full wave, shove this in with the Baron buff. Supernova are going to try and get the gold lead back in their favor with their sieges happening right now. Blue Otter did not find the back-to-back fights that they needed to find here, and Supernova, their composition is going to be difficult to get on top of from this point forward. They still have the Fate's Call from Lens. They still have Steadfast Presence, Handshake, all these tools to deny Music and Rovex that way to get in. And when there's not a big neutral objective to fight for anymore, when you're just defending under your turrets, it becomes that much harder to actually lock down these members of the enemy composition.
Yeah, we are very rapidly approaching the end of the game one way or another, as Kenby throwing out the ultimate once again, just threatening with it. It's going to buy enough time here for the mid lane turret to get mostly broken through, and Blue Otter, they just now have the Stand United available yet again. They're looking for something to get a fight started, but Music, it's so much harder to go for these flanks when you just have to leave your base. A front-on assault coming from Blue Otter is so much more difficult to make effective.
Yeah, there's really no way that that would ever work. Unless you just have enough damage on Orianna to blow up somebody, whoever you get on top of. But even then, you have Bailout to get through as well, so there's kind of 2 health bars you have to chew through while not dying before Bailout actually expires. Supernova making the most of this Baron buff so far. They get the middle turret. They did not crack the middle inhibitor, though. And they don't even crack the bottom inhibitor turret. I am very surprised that they didn't get that second one, and that they're also going for a bag here. I feel like Supernova could have pushed a little bit more.
Very cautious overall, and now Supernova, they go for the backs early on, looking for their way back out to the Elder Dragon, because we're about to flip yet again. And now Blue Otter, they don't have the gold lead, so Supernova firmly in the lead at this point. But all these leads yet again mean nothing. The Elder Dragon is everything in this game, and Music charging up. Whoa! No, the Shockwave!
Keeper's Verdict goes.
That's
Samikin
game!
Shockwave completely whips. Supernova, they like the option here for the fight. And they actually get in, though. Big double stun comes in from Toasty. Not going to land. They're not going to at least allow the follow-up, but they got everything. They burned nothing. They burned only the Poppy ultimate right there, as the Elder Dragon has spawned. Blue Otter don't even have the Stand United, and Toasty playing goalie here. Blue Otter can't get in. It's going to come down to a miracle steal from Music if they even want to attempt it. Vault Breaker cooldown is no longer available. He has Flash. Might just be a Flash Smite angle if they can even find it. Kenby has a Steadfast Presence. Quacker 1v1 Faisal in the side right here. They're going to go in for the engage, though. They got onto Toasty. Samikin just doesn't have the damage, and Music's going to go down. Flash forward from Lens. He's got the auto attack. Brend is not available.
He's alive.
Music is still up as the Elder Dragon's going. It's Levitate that's actually the one trying to carry the fight. He will finally fall, and Music music goes down as well. There's no smite steal. Kenvi can easily take the Elder Dragon, which makes it an easy win of the fight for Supernova. The pressure was on for Blue Water, and they could not deliver. Supernova played the patient game. They played the dragon stacking, and they won the fights that they needed to win. They will march in this bottom wave, and they will bring us to a tied 1-1 series.
And Kenvi, the keeper's verdicts were absolutely amazing in this game. Kangas making sure music couldn't do what he needed to, knocking away crucial members at the right time, and that is where these team fight wins are coming from. Kenvi struggled early on in the game to do anything more than music. He struggled to have an impact in the first half, but every single time he winds up the hammer and swings it is a team fight win for Supernova.
Supernova played with the Poppy. They played with the anti-engage composition beautifully. It was so much harder for Blue Otter to get on top of them in those objective fights, where Blue Otter have looked like they are the strongest and the most comfortable. They even found a couple of good ones in that game to get them a gold lead, but they could not maintain. Eventually, Supernova just became too much at their setups for the objectives, which brings us to our player of the game. I think it's pretty obvious. Goes to Kenvi here on the Poppy pick. The steadfast presence alongside the keeper's verdicts, just blocking everybody's engages and just always having that laser focus on the dragon stacking really kept them in that game.
The stats really do not tell the whole story, because when you knock someone out, you usually don't kill them. You're not getting the kills on those players. Instead, Kenvi finding moment after moment to lock down members of Blue Otter, make sure that they had no escape, building these player advantages in these fights for his team. And Supernova really relying on the veterancy from Kenvi to really carry them through every single one of these moments. So good job to Kenvi tying us up at 1-1. But Kangas, now we get to learn if your prediction was correct. You were saying that when Blue Otter were losing games, they continued to pick the red side. They just lost one. We are now 1-1. It's, an unofficial best of 3 between these two teams. How does Blue Otter want to start it?
Yeah, decision will be theirs to make as we send it to a short break. 1-1 on the scoreboard, which means we're at least getting to that game number 4 in this fearless best of 5. If you haven't seen one, you're in for a treat. We'll see you right after the short break.
Psst. Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Dermaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Developmental. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
I'd give the back-to-back to UG. In this league, right now, there's no really standout player. But I mean, I have to give it to someone on the STL because they're really having a good regular season split. I just think UG he just has aura. Their lanes are always perma fighting, really flexing on everyone, and then everyone's just always thinking in the back of their head where's UG? I'm actually scared, bro.
For me, I'd have to go with UG for the back-to-back. I think Maryville is definitely the strongest team this split. Everyone knows that, and I think it's right for someone to be on that team. And I think UG, strongest champ pool. Almost every game he's playing a carry, and I think this meta right now is kind of centered around jungle. I think laners play around jungle well, and I think UG is just a strong, consistent leader on the team, and easily it's UG for the back-to-back.
Probably gonna pick Roamer. I don't think he's peaked yet. He hasn't played Tier 1, I think he's too good to play in Tier 2. I think he'd be more disciplined if he played LCS. He wouldn't go for as crazy stuff, probably play tempo more.
If I were to say overall general, I would say Scary Jerry. It's definitely the one that stands out the most when we played against Dragon Steel in the second week after AoE. But overall, in a more specific sense, that a player elevates their team to a higher degree than what you would expect, I would say Toasty Alex from Supernova is a really good candidate as someone who can increase a team's potential, especially when even though they already have great players, Toasty Alex brings them up to the next level through his communication and his supportive playstyle.
I think the MVP for Summer Split is the Dragon Steel Yuji because he was the best player on the best performing team. Yuji was the best player in regular season, and that's just period. Nothing else to say.
I think it's got to be either Surdy or Zamudo. Maybe Surdy because clearly he's proven he's worthy off just solo queue, considering he's 2k LP. And for Zamudo, I think he's on the best team, and clearly, it's clearly for a reason,
I think the easy answer is Surdy. Just knowing him as a person and as a teammate, I feel like he has the competitive drive that some people don't. And I know it's like easy to say, like, oh, he's my roommate and he's my teammate and we won CLO together, or like he carried me or whatever, but I've never seen the competitive drive that in one person from anyone I've ever met.
My most valuable prospect award would have to go for Yuji. I think he's a very consistent player, like last split and this split too. I think he's always he's a big prospect for his team on like winning games. I think that mid jungle has a lot of synergy, but I think Yuji is really good, yeah.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to NACL presented by The Real Cost. We are in round 3 of the lower bracket for our playoffs round of summer 2024, and it's 1-1 with Blue Otter versus Supernova. Blue Otter took revenge in game 1 from their loss in the upper bracket, but we know that that was a close series in itself, and it looks like we might have another one ahead of us here, Josh, as Supernova was able to bounce back in game 2.
And we can see in the goal difference over time in the bottom right how much of a comeback this really was for Supernova. Kenvi just went Super Saiyan in the back half of that game, making sure that every single fight after that point was a 5v4 or better for Supernova. And even though it was Toasty who was doing most of the damage, we were getting to see that Blue Otter made some uncharacteristic mistakes, a lot of missed ultimates, unfortunately, from Samikin, that are just not the kind of thing you expect to see from this team because of how effectively the Poppy and the Renata were blocking all of Blue Otter's plans.
And I will say that Oriana is one of Samikin's most played champions when the Zoe is banned, at least early on in his competitive career. He's been really trying to expand that champ pool, so bummer to see those sombreros happening, but I do have full faith in this player to bounce back as the series goes on, because a reminder, it's Fearless best of 5, so things like that Poppy, things like the Renata Glass will not be available for Game 3 onward. And those were the two, I think, most painful champs to play into. Although I do want to give shout out to Toasty on the Syndra for doing so much damage on the Syndra of all champions there, especially towards the end. That final Elder Dragon fight, I think, played that one fantastic.
So we'll get to see how they adapt from here on out. We do have some interesting news for you, Kangas, because Blue Otter did not choose red side. They are going over towards the blue side in our upcoming game, and that is going to change things quite a bit, not necessarily valuing the Game 5 counter pick nearly as much as we saw in previous series coming out from them. But as we take a look at the champions that are no longer available, Faisal has lost the Renekton and the Cassante, two of his most played, whereas the Wukong and the Shen, we know Quacker plays them, but they're not champions I really think of as being super key to the way he plays.
Exactly, so it still feels like Blue Otter might have a couple more champions in the pool available to them that they have pulled out successfully in past games so far this NACL Summer Split. But that doesn't mean the Supernova are out of the series. They are still the higher seed. They're still a, on paper, very strong team, if not just stronger straight up than Blue Otter. Like you had said, you kind of favored them almost lane by lane over their Rift opponents today. but it's about the team play, it's about the synergy, and so far, I would argue the Blue Otter have looked a little bit more coordinated. Game 2 was just a little awkward. It was very low action for the first, like, 15 minutes of that game. It was all just about the lane swap and then farming up lanes or waves, not contesting a single dragon up until the Dragon's Soul. By that point, it was a little too late. So I think steps for Blue Otter to take, maybe don't be afraid to make earlier action happen.
Yeah, I mean, their composition was definitely not as strong, but it wasn't a huge gap where you shouldn't be going for it. But just as we were talking about a couple of major champions being missing here for the top side of Faisal, the bottom side coming out for Blue Otter, I'm also a little bit worried about because the Zeri and the Kaisa are the two most played champions coming through from Levitate. They only got a win on one of them. And then the Ezreal is the fourth most played coming into Summer. So we're starting to really have to dig deep into our players' pockets going into this one, because we are already all the way through bans. We see that the Aurora and the Cinnamon have swapped sides. Supernova are the ones who have to ban them.
Yep, Supernova are on red side. I was incorrect in my prediction. The Blue Otter would choose red side to give Quacker that counter pick. But what does that open up? It opens up the power of first pick instead. And Misfortune makes it through the draft. We lock it. I still like the Ashe, though, so I don't feel like Supernova are really losing that much with that blue one Misfortune. What's your read on this matchup right now, Joshi?
I mean, I'm surprised. This is Levitate's first game on this champion in Summer Split, and this champion has been very popular. I do really like the Ashe. It gives guaranteed engage tools towards the other side of the map, and it pushes Blue Otter to play something more akin to the Amumu, which we have seen Music play a couple of times, where he just goes for those really big ultimates. In the Curse of Sad Bullet Time, we saw it earlier today in 100 Thieves versus Dig. We've seen it in previous metas before. It dominated, I think it was Season 5 Worlds. It's strong for a reason. It's been good for nearly a decade at this point. It would make sense to go for it again.
Yeah, and with the jungle pool the way it is right now, wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if that is the choice. Hui makes me think, so Samikin has played a specific mid laner a couple of times, and I believe it's been into Hui. I'm looking at the Vex. If we're going for like the Amumu plus the Misfortune combo, Vex suddenly rises in popularity as well, because that's just a second form of engage, or follow-up rather, to the Amumu rather than just the Misfortune bullet time. If they go for something like the Lux, though, that is flexible, because Rovex could pilot a bot lane, or Samikin could play it mid. Samikin also likes this into the Hui because it just gives you that range matchup, and we know that Samikin was kind of a notorious two-trick with the Zoe and the Lux when he first came into the league.
Yeah, I feel okay about this Lux. I mean, it is a champion that just does a lot of damage, but that's about all it really does, is you just kill someone, and if you don't kill someone, then, well, you just kind of throw out a couple of E's. The Bard is something that we have seen growing in popularity, but overall, Blue Otter, interestingly, going for the Olaf early in the draft. There's a lot of crowd control that he will be dodging out on the far side of the map, and picking it here does mean that the counter pick of the Camille is available to them, so
yeah,
very bold. I'm not sure if this is the time I would have liked to see it through.
I gotta say I agree, unless there's a crazy world where we actually see Olaf jungle. I know he's pretty much exclusively played in the top lane these days, but I do wonder what a jungle clear is like, and maybe this is some kind of bait. That's the only thing I can think of that would make me not dislike it, because you are just giving up such a strong counter pick to Faisal, who's no slouch in his own route. Faisal can hard win lanes when he has the right matchup, and I think that this Camille has the stuff to punish Quacker for this pick.
This is also a really good matchup. It's not necessarily an instant, like, laning win, but you do just have the ability to out-damage the Olaf later on, and Olaf relies so much on consistent damage coming in that you suddenly just like, well, no, I'm just going to out-heal this. Camille doesn't do small bits of damage. Camille later on is going to like, what if I Cho'Gath ulted you 3 times over the course of this fight? And Quacker, this Olaf, not necessarily the best tool to try and deal with that. But looking at the back half of the draft, we already have mid laners, we have top laners, we have 80 carries, so junglers and supports, the name of the game. And with the Leona and the Blitzcrank taken off the table, we're running out of engaged supports very quickly for Rovex, basically leaving just Alistar.
Yeah, which I imagine Supernova could just lock in for themselves here as red 4 if they wanted. Really like that Blitzcrank ban in particular, because Hui, Ashe, even Camille, if you hook in the Camille, she's very squishy, so you can try and blow her up quickly with the help of Misfortune and Lux. It's Melio ban, though, so rather than focus on the engage... Ooh, Ivern, though. Do you really want to play a Mumu into Ivern? it's so hard to actually blow up anybody through the Iron shields.
Yeah, it's tough. I think you still go for it if you're going to be committing the Melio ban. Just because, like, the Melio is so good at relieving the curse of the sad bullet time, where if you just have the ultimate coming out from the Mumu, it's very, very strong. This is also a decent tool, but it's not quite as much damage coming out as the Mumu will oftentimes provide alongside. But, you know, I still think it makes a lot of sense. We have been seeing Music go for a lot of these big engages. It's very tough. Just as we saw last game where Kenny was able to stop him with the Poppy, Ivern does a very similar thing.
And we were hovering the Bard earlier, makes me think that this will be the support Bard locked in, and it is Samikin piloting the Lux in the mid lane, matching the range of the Hui. Considering maybe the Alistair as another engage form, but no, it's going to be more creative engage tools. Bard, Tempered Fate, to maybe set up the J4 Cataclysm. But Cataclysm is going to be the big combo with Misfortune, although arguably Light Binding is enough as well. All you need is that one bit of CC to really land to blow up one person.
Yeah. Blue Otter.
Fresh.
Yeah, Blue Otter for a blue team is playing a lot of yellow-orange champions, the complementary colors on the other side, whereas Supernova, this composition seems pretty easy to pilot. That's my biggest worry here for Blue Otter is Blue Otter, they have to go in, they have to get good combinations of ultimates, and the Supernova, whenever they have their flashes up, so if you only ever fight around dragons, Supernova will have flash for every single fight. So it's on Blue Otter to go for fights between those objectives, to try and find opportunities to put Supernova when they do not have their flashes available. But the problem is Supernova have a very good composition to go for picks.
Yes, between the Hextech Ultimatum in a side lane to the Ash Arrow to Thresh Hooks, they have so many tools to actually find somebody out of position. And even though they don't necessarily have like a hard team fight engage outside of arguably the Ash Arrow, that's going to be the big one, they still have Daisy to just be a space maker. The fact that Daisy can just walk forward and check brushes for you means that you don't have to be afraid if you're not the first ones to the objective. The danger being, though, the engage range of Blue Otter is very high. Things like the Lux Binding, things like Tempered Fate to set up the J4 and the Lux follow-up and then Misfortune over top means that if you are out of position at any point, you could just get popped. It's going to be an interesting game because I don't think Blue Otter's composition will scale very well. They need to win the early to mid game here in order to have a good shot, because the later the game goes, the harder Camille in the side lane will be, and the harder it will be to kill through all the defensive items that Ivern will pick up.
This Lux coming through is going to be their saving grace later on in the game, just because you just kill someone even through the Ivern shields. A lot of times you just overkill by such a large margin if you start getting ahead. So I'm really looking forward to how Samikin pilots this one. He has been getting the better of his rival in Toasty in the laning phases in both Game 1 and Game 2. And now that he's on the Lux, has the tools to do that, because Ivern not necessarily going to be ganking a whole lot into the Lux, and Jarvan sets up even stronger than the Ivern does whenever the junglers come mid.
And Jarvan is such a aggressive early game jungler. And what do we think? Is he going to have the wave push in mid and top? I would argue top for sure early on. You mentioned that Camille's not going to be that early lane counter to the Olaf. Typically, Olaf can get that pressure. I think Lux can get it against Hui. I'd argue that Misfortune Bard. So my opinion says Music can really invade at any point, but I'm curious what your read is on that.
He has a lot of tools to be aggressive, and Ivern oftentimes is very limited because he sets up all of these different camps and he has to go through and do them again. So you have a pretty good idea on where he's going to go a lot of the times. We've seen that Blue Otter very aggressive early on in the game. They really have been pushing Music into Kenry's jungle early on, and this is another opportunity for them to do just that. I like Supernova's composition, though. I think it is going to be on Blue Otter to get things going, and now that we are here and they can't see me anymore, Kangas, when you said Space Maker, I got the lyrics and the tune to Heartbreaker by Pat Benatar stuck in my head, and they haven't left.
Well, I'm happy that I could bless you in such a way, because you should be saying thank you for that. Samikin, all alone right here. Love Taker, don't you mess around with me. Don't you mess around with Samikin right now, so you'll throw out Illusion Singularity to get away from the invade. Supernova find nothing.
Yeah, Manifold Band trade on both sides of the map. I am curious how Blue Otter are trying to play this one, because the rune's not as interesting as the summoner spells that Quacker has taken. He has Barrier and Ghost. So He knows that he needs to make sure he does not die to all that burst all at once. He needs to take these much longer fights, and as Blue Otter fans get 100% of the vote in Twitch chat. I know there's some of you Supernova fans in there. Like, it shouldn't be... I would understand if it was like 10%. You know, Blue Otter has a lot of fans, but 0%? Come on, guys, we gotta do better than that.
Well, clearly people want to see Blue Otter go all the way to the NACL finals and also make it towards that international event. They want to cheer on the C9 affiliated team. A reminder, if you want to check out finals, we have live finals tickets available. You can check it out at the link on your screen right now. Come support the players, come support the league, come support the future of the LCS. But there you go, there's a couple Supernova fans coming in to vote.
There we go. Yeah, the future of the LCS starts the day after the LCS on the finals day. So still lots of opportunities. If you're already going to be in town for the LCS finals, might as well just get an extra ticket. It's only a couple bucks.
True.
Hang out with us in the LCS.
You're not flying back on a Sunday anyway, right? Yeah, come on, give it a shot.
Yeah, come on. You don't want to be flying while you're hungover.
Hey, you want to be cheering on Tier 2 League of Legends. It actually does unironically sound more fun, so...
It does.
Half a joke.
And I know none of you guys are working on Monday either. Right? It's Labor Day, so
yeah.
come hang out. Either way,
I'm working on Monday. Oh wait, no, that's this Monday, right?
Is it? I don't know.
I think it's this Monday. I think it might be a
weekend, so we don't.
Okay,
like...
we know notoriously bad at math and bad at keeping dates, so it's alright,
yeah.
Josh. You're just living up to the brand. Ooh, 1v1 top lane. Quacker going all in on the Faisal. No, not gonna actually continue the all in. I thought maybe if a second undertow landed, he would have gone for it.
Yeah, he could have considered it, right? This is the thing, like, Quacker does have a better early lane, but it's usually not enough of a lead that you can build off of Olaf to justify trying to pick the Olaf into the Camille. But, ooh, it's a cleanse.
Okay, Levitate could be in some trouble right here. Still has the flash available, but Lens of Diamonds have the damage flash away. Do they want to continue? Faisal in a 1v2 top lane has to flash to safety. Quacker with Ghost and Barrier used. Nobody falls on either side of the rift, but both teams trying their best to make it happen.
Yeah, wow, and Quacker being forced away just because Kenvi is clearing faster, knows how to move around. But look at this, Samikin coming up, forces a flash.
The flash out of Kenvi, flash forward from Samikin. Stacking the Lux passive beautifully with the autos to get the extra damage in, but they just can't quite get it. One more Q might have it. No, it's the flag for first blood.
Oh my gosh, Music!
Second as Samikin will pick up another.
Oh no, Toasty, because he was pushed in the mid lane and not able to roam up, and Samikin and Music, we had a 2v2 bottom lane, a 2v2 top lane, and the second 2v2 top lane is the one that comes out. Samikin and Music finding both of these kills. Genvi thought he was so safe. He threw the little brush into the pixel bush up in the top half of the map, saw exactly where Music was, but did not wait around, and the flash coming out from Samikin locking down Kenvi after his flash is gone. And Faisal not able to do enough, doesn't have enough power immediately after that. So great combination coming out from Blue Otter, finding both of these kills.
And I'm telling you, Samikin is just that guy. He's a mage player in the mid lane, but he loves to roam. He loves to impact the rest of the map, and he pulls it off there. Music surviving the minion damage at the very end as well. He's down just barely in jungle clear, but that's that early aggressive J4 that you love to see. If you're going to play this champion and not gank in the first couple levels, why are you even playing the champion? Just all in top lane, get rewarded.
Yeah, really good stuff for Blue Otter overall, and wow, look at this. Samikin lost almost nothing in the mid lane for that roam because of how effectively they had pushed out. He is still the exact same experience as his opponent now because Toasty, low HP, low on mana, and not able to step up to the wave nearly as effectively, and Samikin now level 6.
Yeah, I mean, if he hits a single light binding, that loosens singularity, he's going to do so much. Oh, the final spark over top! With the Comet almost being enough, Toasty's got to back off this wave.
20 HP, all that remains, and Samikin stopping at least one back from Toasty. Yet again, this is a third game in a row where the matchup does not matter. Samikin, the one finding advantages out over his classic rival. These guys have been in tryouts, they've been in combines together. They are both in NACL, and Samikin yet again showcasing that maybe he was the one that should have been playing in spring.
And so often when you hear people's opinions from the outside watching the games, it's Toasty that's getting more nods than Samikin. Toasty is the one that got into NACL in spring split. Samikin only got in summer, having to earn his way in through the promotion tournament with this team. And now Samikin getting the better of his early career mid lane rival. Feels fantastic for the Lux pilot in this game number 3. Blue Water walking up to try and contest the grubs here. Diamond has roamed up as well as Len, so the lane swaps a little earlier from Supernova, but Blue Water are now ready for a flash away, but unsuccessfully from Toasty as the Cataclysm on a 4! Levitate can't quite get in there though. Doesn't have a bullet time, but it doesn't matter. They still got the damage to double up. Will get one. Diamond will have to flash away, but the Cosmic Blinded into the wall means a double kill to Levitate. Blue Otter decimate the fight at grubs.
Even with Samikin missing that ultimate and sacrificing music, they're still going to be the ones picking up all 3 of these grubs and getting so many more kills. Blue Otter yet again starting off this game in a dominant position as Rovex, it's going to take a while to do that, but he can eventually get it. Music actually levels up. He's currently level 5. He gets level 6 off of killing one of these grubs. He goes in, smites it away. That's where the level 6 comes in and where he locks up the entire enemy team. Quacker just waiting for anybody to run back towards his side of the map. But a great play and a great stun at the end from Rovex to make sure Diamond can't flash over the wall. Gives him so many kills.
Beautiful binding from Rovex there to allow Levitate the time to get in range. And like you said, Quacker playing goalie meant Lens is the only one to get out. He's got a flash to survive. Blue Otter with a pretty powerful early game gold lead. 2,500 at 745 ain't too shabby. A lot of that gold being on the misfortune of all champions. You see Levitate on your screen right now. So many discussions around Rookie of the Split. Levitate's been in pretty much every single one of them. Early on here in this game, he is getting fed.
2 of the front runners for the Rookie to Split are here on Blue Water. And it's partly because there's not a lot of rookies to split, but 2 of the good ones so far are already on this team. We're getting to see the power that they have when they are coming together in this game, because Blue Water, the gold lead is all across the board. Just about everyone on this team, yeah, everyone has a gold lead over their relative opponents. As we go ahead and bring that one up, they just have so much more control, and Samikin in particular already blowing this game open. He's gotten at least 1 plate in the mid lane. They're moving a little bit faster. One of my favorite things about that last sequence that we saw is that the speed
Okay, we're gonna have to cover that later as a dive's happening right now. Faisal's passive has been used. It's the armor passive. Oh, music trying to interrupt with the Cataclysm. Does not lock down Faisal because Flash was available, so Supernova's top lane does get away.
Good attempt coming out with that ultimate to try and stop Faisal in the tracks, but hey, this top lane matchup, what we were saying, was not usually going to get far enough ahead for Olaf to be justified in playing these matchups. Now suddenly, he's getting a bunch of plates, he's getting a lot of money for himself, whereas Faisal died already, down about 20 CS, and it's the rest of his team who are going to have to carry him through until Camille can do late game Camille things.
Yeah, Levitate was left alone down there. Right now it's focused on top side. So yes, you're playing strong side top, but I was holding my breath thinking, is Levitate going to be on the receiving end of his team playing towards the Camille top? But he is just fine, can catch us next wave. Camille will eventually be a threat, but the fact that Faisal's this far behind, I mean, look at that, 20 CS right now. Means that I think Blue Otter's early game plan of get that early lead is a resounding A+ on the scorecard. Yeah. Pretty much everybody, like you said, is ahead, and that means that Supernova, they have less and less tools to actually get back into this game.
I want to go back to what we were talking about for a moment. I want to give more praise towards Spin Uncle Phil and Sneezes yet again in this game, because one of the things that has set up Blue Otter for so much success is the speed with which the Bard Misfortune can move around the map. We saw that Lens and Diamond were the first ones from Supernova to move towards the top half of the map, but because Levitate and Rovex can follow them, they had a man advantage.
Ooh. Just throughout the bullet time, Levitate trying to set it up himself because he has the jungler coming around the flank, but Kenby read the play, and now Music could be in trouble. Has Flash available, but can't quite get to the wall. Feared up, flashes in instead aggressively, and now Flagon drags away the safety. There's the Hextech ultimatum from Faisal. He's trying to actually teleport it down all the way from top lane. That's disastrous. Supernova found no kills, and because of that TP, they have nobody to catch the top wave. Quacker will take that turret.
That is a disaster, right? They don't get anything, whereas Quacker gets the entire top lane turret. Suddenly, this Olaf that I was not expecting to be much of a threat in this game, one of the richest members on the entire Rift. He has so much money simply because he's been left alone for so long. Diamond once again throwing that one wide, but also Music getting out. They have 3 minutes until the next dragon. They are going to be so strong, and Supernova, it's a good thing they got the first one because they're going to have to play for every dragon for the rest of the game.
They are down 4,000 as well if they want to try and contest those. Oh, it's going to be tough from this position. Music's walking up aggressively, still hanging out around the area. Diamond positioning so that the Lantern's there, and Lens will take it. Music not interrupting it quite well enough. Grubs are up. I'd like to see Music head up towards there.
And Quacker just got one.
Oh, did actually get one on his own, yeah. So that means that they will at least get spawns if they hit a turret. Oh, and stopping Toasty's back. Samikin just being a menace on the Rift right now. As Music will rotate towards the top side. Maybe look at those grubs, but with Quacker resetting, this is actually a dangerous time to go for them. So probably just towards the top camps.
Yeah, just trying to make sure they know what Kenvi is up to. He definitely cannot be hitting this on his own with his whole team resetting. And Kenvi also saying, hey, I'm in the area. You gotta at least respect me. But this Jarvan also out-farming the Ivern. This is yet another example of Music out-farming his opponent across the map. And now with the rest of Blue Otter up in the top half of the map, they can continue to get every single one of these grubs, showcasing that yet again, Twitch Chat is on their side. Arrow?
Oh, goes very wide, and Toasty, welcome to lane. You just get hit by Lucent Singularity in a final spark. Down to half health, a second Lucent Singularity will land, and Toasty has to back all the way and probably just reset yet again. Yep, there we go. You got one wave, Toasty.
Yeah, and Samikin can do that. I think it's every other wave at this point. It's probably like a 40 to 50 second cooldown for Samikin, so he can just do that over and over again. This is one of the powers of the Lux when it starts to get ahead, is just how much control it has. 39.74, that's pretty good. It is very short. That is slightly less than 1 per wave.
And let alone if you get a kill with it, reducing the cooldown even more means that Samikin is doing a... just going to be a poke bot pretty much his entire game. He can control a lot of the approach areas, and if you find that pick, you just blow somebody up. Toshi will catch this next wave, but that's another plate gold going over to Samikin, who gets the reset off, has boots completed now, and we'll head right back to the bottom lane. Dragon's up in 30 seconds, so it's time to do the regular inventory. Faisal does not have teleport, so do not expect top lane intervention for this fight. But we do have the Cataclysm plus the bullet time combo, so I gotta say I favor Blue Water if there's a 4v4 for Drag.
Yeah, what does Quacker want to do? He's currently moving down towards the bottom half of the map, saying, yep, it is time. We are going to go for the brawls, as everybody does start convening in the bottom half. Samikin, I love the off angle that he's currently taking. He can set up with the rest of the team, and Lens does not flash.
Tempered Fate, Cosmic Binding, flash forward from Lens, but he cannot get to the Lantern in time. Still stunned up, still taking down. Levitate taking a lot of damage, though. It's traded right on back. Toasty with the shutdown.
Wow, the hook coming through from Diamond. That means a teleport being spent towards the bottom half of the map instantly loses half of his HP yet again. Blue Otter, even though they did lose Levitate, he's going to be faster back on the map because that strut that he got moving around. And Blue Otter, they're hitting this. Does Kenji want to contest? He does.
Looks like it.
It does not.
Looks like it not. Never mind. He is walking away. Quacker's hitting the mid wave, by the way. Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands. He still has Ragnarok. He's just hitting the turret. With the 6 grubs, he can easily take this. It's a Thresh and an Ivern. Not a lot of kill threat. They will at least get the Ragnarok out because of the Death Sentence landing, as Samikin will take a turret shot. Toasty, good damage there. Music's around, Light Eye Binding lands, and there's the final spark for the kill. Samikin is just making Toasty's life miserable in this matchup.
I got a feel for Toasty, right? I was looking at Toasty, he was looking pretty darn good, but he has had nothing, and now Music, the one potentially getting caught.
Okay, another teleport in from Faisal to the bot lane. Second time's the charm here, as this time Hextech Ultimatum will be enough to lock Music down and get a kill for the much-starved Camille.
But even with all this back and forth on the map, we are still seeing that Blue Water hasn't really grown the lead. They've gotten 2 of the outer towers in the top lane and the mid lane, but now they're going to be going over it. They're going to be resetting. I would love to see Blue Water continue to just go for these fights. They just can't get picked off like has happened a couple of times, because Supernova, they can play for picks very effectively. As we're also seeing, Genghis, that's kind of all they can do right now, because they can't side lane.
Blue Otter are looking for basically Samikin to make action happen, it seems, and music as well. Quacker's been left on an island since the early action early on. Faisal not allowed to take this turret for free.
Down 2 levels.
Even catching that one. Yeah, down. Yeah, he's down a lot right now.
Yeah.
The Herald has spawned. It's on the Rift as music has respawned. I saw there was a window there where Kenvi might have looked to go for it. Tempered Fate from downtown. He should be fine with the lantern from Diamond, so he's good. But the Herald could be the next focus here. It looks like Blue Otter do want to go for it now.
Yeah, I actually really like that Tempered Fate from Robux because it's 1 on a pretty short cooldown, 2, it forces Supernova to back much further back in their own lane, which wastes a lot of time, so they're not going to be able to get back onto the map for the Rift Herald, or they're going to have to forego spending any of their gold. So ultimately, it does buy Blue Otter this Rift Herald. They've already gotten all 6 grubs. They've gotten the Herald. Is this the 3rd game in a row that they've gotten every grub? No, there was a 3-3 game 1.
I don't believe so. Yeah, the even trade early on, but I don't think this is going to be an even trade. Faisal's not having backup around him, has to back all the way to the tier 2 turret. And Supernova are trying to get vision down in the bottom jungle here. We see Diamond dropping those deep wards, but Blue Otter are not interested in their bottom jungle right now. They are interested in sieging the tier 2 top turret with 6 grubs. Look at all those void leads spawn. Supernova have to come up and answer now, but music goes forward, has the Cataclysm available. Everybody gets over though. He's just fine alongside Faisal.
Alright, where are we going? We're going drifting.
Oh, this is a bold move, and he bounces out of it, has to flag and drag away. Lucky that that play did not land.
That was, you know, this is what happens when you're trying to make cool plays happen. Sometimes they don't always work. It ends up being a 1-for-1 turret trade, but the inner turret obviously a lot more valuable, a lot more money going over to Blue Otter than we saw from Supernova picking up the bottom lane turret. I am really looking forward to what it is that Samikin is going to be doing in the next couple of minutes. He already has 2 items completed with the Horizon Focus and whatever the Luden's version is called these days. He's got a lot of
Companion.
Companion?
It's a real companion, yeah.
It looks like a gun, but you know.
Yeah, it is.
There you go. Anyway, the point is, if he lands a Q, everyone except maybe Faisal is dead. Maybe Diamond. I think Diamond will live.
I mean, it's hard to argue against that. Diamond's trying to get towards the Warmogs, I think, is the build he's going for, which is interesting for the Thresh. Not typically one that I think of for that champion. I mean, it gives you the tanky stats, but the reason I like it on things like the Alistair and the Nautilus is that you have scaling off of that HP. Alistair, you just get the damage reduction from your old Nautilus. You get the extra shield from your W the higher your health is. But on something like a Thresh, I almost would rather have like a Locket early on here to help absorb the Lux poke or the Misfortune damage.
Yeah. I definitely think a Locket at some point is in their future to make sure that you can try and keep people alive, deny Samikin those ultimates, but now music and Samikin pushing Faisal around. He's still down about 20 CS, and Quacker, once again, he loves himself all of these support items as the Zeeks comes through. He had a Knight's Vow and a Redemption previously. Supernova the ones trying to make something happen in the mid lane.
Zeeks is such a funny item on the Olaf because the slow field is actually one of the best parts about it. Ooh, what a cleanse from Levitate right there. Getting away from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
They used both cleanse and the McKills though.
Okay, it did seem like there were 2 things happening there, but okay, Diamond from the brush, Tempered Fate finds out of space with Faisal with the flank angle, takes down Levitate. Music had no backup, so he falls down as well. Supernova played that beautifully. Rovex even gets sniped at the very end for the double kill onto Toasty. Faisal not allowing Quacker to get away. Quacker's gonna try and drain, take through everything. He's doing a lot of damage for right now, but he's kited back. Len survives, the Lux final spark is not enough. And Supernova find a 4-for-0.
That's the first really clean fight that we've seen from Supernova, and it mostly just comes off of Blue Otter not having anything go right in that last fight. Started with the cleanse and the kills, both being used. Now it's going to be the Dragon going over to Supernova at the same time, but music goes for one target, right? He just jumps on top of Kenvi, but Levitate is just dead here. He has nothing he can do, takes way too much damage, and Faisal picks him up almost instantly. Samikin not able to find a hook onto anyone and gets hooked himself. So everyone on Blue Otter is just suddenly running for the hills, and they don't even have Quacker at the start of this fight. This is just Blue Otter going for a fight where they do not have the players in position. Supernova just say, okay, well that doesn't work, and kills them all right on back.
Blue Otter getting a lesson in object permanence. Check the iron bushes. People are probably in there, especially if you just saw the mid lane earlier. So Blue Otter, unfortunately, now lose some of that gold lead that they had and lose the dragon stacking. It's a very powerful dragon soul. Whoever gets this, heavily rewarded, and right now Supernova are ahead in the stack. It's 2-1. Blue Otter still have a gold lead with 3,000, but they keep playing like that. Their composition does not scale incredibly well. I will still favor Supernova's comp as the game gets later and later, especially because Faisal's now, with that shutdown on the Levitate, picked up a second item completed. So that lead that Quacker had, not even that big. Speaking of, almost caught Samikin right there, but Samikin gets away. Point is, Camille's going to be a problem as the game goes on.
Yeah. It's also 2.5 games in the series where we should start talking about how these teams have been looking in playoffs in the past. It's important to note yet again, we've talked about the beginning, but Blue Otter has been a massive underdog from pretty much according to everybody for the past several series. This is also a team where they've really not had an opportunity to do this well in playoffs at all. This is the farthest already most of their players have made it in the tier 2, whereas on the other side, Supernova, this is kind of the floor of where they expect to find themselves ending up. Blue Otter has everything to play for and nothing to lose, whereas Supernova, I still feel as though they're trying to protect their reputation as some of the stronger players in the league. So the fact that we are even talking about Blue Otter, I'd say arguably being favored in the series currently. Uh-oh.
Oh, side lane, Samikin on the receiving end of Faisal, and the enchanted crystal arrow snipe for the shutdown. Lens finds the play set up by Faisal. Faisal will probably go down, but the team's getting as much as they can on the Rift Door, hitting that mid turret. Faisal's just buying time, and now the magical journey will get everybody faster to Baron, but it has been started up by Supernova. They don't take this incredibly fast. I think there will be a room for Blue Otter to actually get in and contest.
They still have the bullet time as well. They're not even sending most of their players over to hit it, and Music seems like, oh, wow, that's very healthy.
Oh, Death Sentence lands though. They cut out the board. Robex is down. Bullet time will not do enough damage, but it will push everybody off of the Baron. So Supernova do not want to force the objective.
There's another kill, continuing to bite into the lead. Ooh.
Teleport coming from Samikin. The Lux flank. Notorious. Faisal's about to spot and also has teleports. The Blue Otter, whatever they're doing, they got to do it fast or else they could get punished. Samikin repositions towards Kenvi. Light Binding does not land, and now here comes Faisal. Supernova, they're finding the answer. Blue Otter did not do it fast enough, but they will get toasty. It's getting real chaotic real fast. Samikin looking at Diamond, chasing down the Thresh, but they're also still getting chased.
What's happening?
Faisal is the main character for Supernova, but somehow Blue Otter are taking advantage of the chaos. Supernova were not on the same page. They were getting caught out. I was looking at Faisal thinking the Camille is the one to make things happen, and Supernova lost the script. They lost a couple of members on the back half.
How did Blue Otter walk away with every single member alive in that? There are so many people in so many weird spots, but Blue Otter, not only do they trust each other, they're so incredibly clutch, and Samikin gets Kenvi, just kills him. There's no contest for this Baron buff, and Blue Otter, they had a lead, and they have blown the doors wide open in game 3.
Samikin on his pocket Lux says nay to the enemy jungler. Alongside the Tempered Fate means that there's no opportunity for Supernova to get in there for a steal. Music secures it. Baron buff picked up for Blue Otter.
How is this team so clutch, man? They've consistently found that these chaotic fights are going in favor of Blue Otter every single time. And we take another look at this one. This starts off as a 3v4 where they go for some weird things. They flank the Lux, like you said, well known for going for all these off-angle flanks. Says, maybe I don't do that. Music leaves the fight. But the calls are like, who do we go for? Levitate just outrunning everything. And then Samikin, I thought he was going to die because Supernova were going to jump to him, but they didn't have an opportunity to. Music re-enters the fight. And then Quacker Music, just so low HP, but so threatening when you don't have vision of them.
No. Yeah, Lens just got separated from everybody, and I gotta say, Samikin played that so well. The flanking Lux, that loosened singularity to block off everyone's approach, as now Faisal gets caught here on rotation, flashes out of the Cataclysm yet again. That's the damage down, but Music can follow up. The cooldowns are there for J4, and that is a dead Camille now with no summoner spells as the Dragon has spawned. It's only the second one for Blue Otter, but they will take it. And I don't think Supernova can contest.
Hey, guess what? Samikin's ult is back up. Samikin can do it again. You thought I was just going to do it once? No. He is ready to go yet again. There's another bullet in the gun. Supernova cannot walk up to this dragon. And at the same time, with the Rally Cry Baron buff, they're already up more than the 1,500 to get for the Baron. They're pushing in the mid lane at the same time, and look how dangerous this is. Diamond loses 3/4 of his HP.
And a reminder, Samikin does not have the Rabadon's Death Cap completed, but is very close. That's a dead Thresh if you have Death Cap right there. Yeah, Diamond's going to need to pick up some magic resist at some point here. The Warmogs is just not going to cut it. For now, is still alive, can stay on the Rift, but even went for that back.
Yeah. Pushing multiple lanes, Levitate in the bottom lane, has music to keep him safe at the same time, so they're going to be getting multiple turrets off of this with the back half of their Baron buff. That's a lot of money they just grabbed for themselves, and even though they have not yet opened the base, they have about 40 seconds, they have about a wave and a half to try and make that work. But Blue Otter, go for it?
Watch the Lux damage follow up over. It's just onto the Thresh, but they have enough there with Quacker nearby. Lens actually takes on music, and Diamond doesn't die. I thought Quacker would have it, but I think his attention was pulled. He didn't go forward to auto attack the Thresh. Not sure what happened there, but either way, music does get popped, which means that the push, the siege, is over for Blue Otter.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that they even committed any ultimates there, but that's one of the beautiful things about this Blue Otter composition. With the exception of music, all of their other engage tools are speculative. You're like, you know, if this hits, cool. If not, like, I'll try again in 30 seconds. Like, whatever. We'll try again next wave. But Blue Otter, they now have a 6,500 gold lead. It took them a while to open things up a little bit on the map, but now look at this. They have so much more money. They've been in control the entire time. They've evened up the dragons on the board. They are looking to continue their streak here in Challengers League with probably another win here. 22 seconds.
And 22 second cooldown on max level final spark. The death cap's completed. Samikin is going to be one-shotting people. And I'm just so happy that he's having this type of performance, especially, like we said, an early rivalry between him and Toasty. He's getting the advantage of it here in game number 3.
Can't wait for his photo to cycle again. I want you guys to look at his photo. He's just throwing up the double peace signs next time it cycles through, and just ask yourself, is that the face of a killer?
Well, it's definitely not the face of peace, at least not in this game. There's no peace to be had, the way that Samikin's been playing this one. And you were talking about the fact that Supernova, this is kind of the floor for a lot of their players in terms of playoff performances. It's also the ceiling for some others, so I would say that pressure could be on in a situation like this. They're down in gold. They have basically one more life left in this series. They can drop this game, that's fine, and bounce back with 2 more wins. But players like Lens, this would be their, 3rd consecutive split ending in the 5th, 6th kind of category. It would be 5th place here. Different format than past brackets have been, but kind of a ceiling for that player. It'd also be Toasty's back-to-back finish at around the same. So players that are looking to improve their average performance, I'd say that those are the ones I'm looking to how do they want to step up? How do they want to make that play? If you're Lens, you're the Ashe, you got the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, it kind of is on you to make that play, to find that angle into a fight, find somebody out of position to start things off.
Yeah, the problem is you can't really not do anything either. As Supernova, you do have to try and make things happen. Otherwise, Samikin will kill you eventually, right? Like, try again. You missed the first final spark. Cool. It's up in 22 seconds. Like, you can try again, not even a whole wave later. But Blue Otter, one of the things that they are struggling with is because they don't have a teleport on this Olaf. Faisal has the ability to shove and roam because he has so much kill pressure onto Samikin, whereas Samikin doesn't have the same level of kill pressure onto a Camille. It does onto a lot of other champions. So as Faisal goes down towards the bottom lane, pushes this one out, he will force Samikin to match him as the only player who can do so and still show up to the rest of the wave.
And that's fantastic because the Camille, if you can actually get on top of the Lux, can actually kill the Lux. But that's up to Samikin to not allow that space for Faisal. Thank you, Kai, our amazing observer, for highlighting the golden penguins. Love the skin on Rovex. Oh yeah, there we go. There they are again, as the Baron is coming up, spawned onto the Rift, and vision control belongs firmly to Blue Otter at this position, but Supernova might be able to approach here. They get some damage from Toasty onto music, but it's mostly shielded up. I think Blue Water are just fine here.
Blue Otter can't afford to just kind of wait and see for a lot of these plays. And as they move down, like you said, not long before the upcoming Dragon, Supernova are the ones who have the pressure on them, but Toasty already losing Flash. That's a perfect light binding target.
Fantastic Tempered Fate there from Rovex, and it will be up again in probably about 40 seconds here. So if Blue Otter want to play a patient, slow game, they still can. Faisal's on a flank here. Watch for the Camille. Watch Samikin, who has no flash, because if Faisal can actually get on top of the Lux, they're checking now, but they're not spotting Faisal yet. Okay, they just dropped the ward. They said, this is fishy. We don't see where Camille is. Watch for where Faisal could be approaching from.
Oh, Diamond.
And now it's the engage from Diamond. The play on the 3. Now the Camille's down to the back line, getting onto the front line. Levitates out of there. And Quacker's trying to do his best, but he's got to run away. Music goes in, but there's just no way out from that position. Cataclysm to try and one last ditch effort out of there. Death Sentence lands from Diamond, not going to fall up on a Quacker. But Supernova hold the line. It's so hard to fight into the Ivor, but what if you just pop him like that? Samikin at the very tail end of the fight will at least try and equalize.
That's ridiculous. Samikin just does so much damage at the end with his ultimate on such a low cooldown, but Levitate loses his life and loses his summoner spells. That gives Supernova the opportunity to pick up this dragon, but at the same time, look at the bottom lane inhibitor turret. Nah, there's no skill. Samikin's too far. The bottom lane inhibitor turret's gonna lose half of his HP here.
I don't wish Samikin did walk up. He had the far side alteration, so he actually could have tried to spot it out, and that final spark will do more damage than pretty much anything the opposing team had with no smite. But yes, the bottom turret almost falls down. Faisal's able to get back in time to stop that, but very low turret means that if Blue Otter get a big team fight win, and they have the wave shoving in bot side already, they could just look to close things out through there.
I'm a little bit worried for Blue Otter because their gold lead has not grown in a while, and just as we were talking about before, Faisal, he has hit the part of the game where he is very scary. Blue Otter says, enough with this, we are going to be hitting the Baron now. You are welcome to join us, and Supernova, they are moving their way over, but you gotta be aware of where Samikin is.
No Enchanted Crystal Arrow, Toasty's over the wall, Kenby's gonna look for the steal, Tempered Fate lands, it does not hit the Ivern, which means the Blue Otter, oh, they still go for it, and they get the Baron! Kenby has to flash away, bullet time used, a lot of damage, and Kenby walks back into it to get popped by the misfortune. Faisal was trying to make something work out of Samikin and Levitate, but Quacker was there, so that is 2 kills picked up by Blue Otter alongside the Baron.
And this is their big push. Remember, Samikin's ult is up faster than anything that Supernova have available. They are already pushing in. Can Toasty clear out this wave and keep his base intact?
I don't think he's got enough damage at this point. Only 2 items, 2.5 items here on the Hui. That means that the middle inhibitor will fall down. The bot wave's hard shoved out, so they're just going to have to defend against 1 wave at this point. But Blue Water are still walking forward. It's going to be a 4v5. I don't think that they can actually threaten the end of the game, especially not if that Death Sentence lands. Flash out of Rovex, tanks up a turret shot, almost tanks up a second one. Will live. Blue Water now after retreat, almost kill Lens right there, but that's flash out of Samikin as well. Blue Water are just unnecessarily burning some of these summoner spells. Try and style on Supernova. See if Supernova can make any punishment for that. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow will land. That's a big stun timer onto Samikin. Death Sentence on the Quacker. He has the run again. Tempered Fate does not lock him down, which means he can position. They took out Lens. The Ash is out of there. Rovex with the counterplay.
The flash trade coming through from Lens and Samikin ends up instantly paying off for Blue Water. They're trying to end the game again. They have a minute and a half left in the round card Baron, but watch Faisal.
Okay, Cataclysm's in, but Toasty's out of there. Faisal on the big flank. Final Spark not doing enough damage to kill. The Redemption will come down. It's all down to Faisal on the flank here. The Baron empowered super minions walking forward, but Blue Water now see the Camille, and they are out yet again. What is going on? Blue Otter just can't decide if they want to try and end the game or if they even can. They will reset here, and we will have more League of Legends to play in this game 3.
It's still a net positive rally cry Baron, but if we take a look, this is the largest gold lead that we have seen for Blue Water in this game so far. 8,500 in the lead. Samikin still, he was so good at fighting so many of those ultimates earlier. Fortunately, hasn't been able to land any of the killing blows in a little while, but with the inhibitor open up on the other side of the map, 2 minutes left until the next dragon spawns, and unfortunately longer than that until the Baron spawns. Blue Otter, they are once again being tested where, what can we do with this? There's nothing outside of our opponent's base. We don't have enough of a Baron buff to go for anything, and Samikin's caught!
Yeah, he's all alone up here in the top lane. That's the teleport coming in. That is everybody from Supernova. Even Lens is walking up here just to make sure, and they're also potentially going to catch up Rovex. Actually, Lens took the blast code as Rovex took the magical journey, so he's out of there. But successful pick from Supernova onto Samikin in the side lane, who was not respecting that they did not see where the Camille was.
Yeah, rat gameplay coming up from Faisal ends up getting them those kills. A second death here for Samikin. That will slow down anything that Blue Water were trying to do. Just got to go ahead and farm their own side of the map. But it's still, Blue Water just have so much more money. But they are so reliant on Samikin landing some of these big ultimates. And also at this point, Music, who has unfortunately not been having great fights. This Jarvan has been shut down in a lot of their engagements, and Levitate has not been able to get the bullet time across the entire ultimate from Music. We have not seen this wombo combo work pretty much the entire game.
And it's allowing Supernova the time to scale up. I still favored their composition the later the game went. Yes, there's a gold lead for Blue Otter, but the later a game goes, the less of a percentage that actually amounts to, especially if we pick up a Dragon Soul. Remember that Blue Otter have botched a couple of the Dragon setups, getting picked, not winning smite fights. Supernova are one dragon away, and it's spawning in 15 seconds.
Yeah, and I'm going to spread some misinformation on the internet right now, because when you have a lot of veteran players on a team, the longer the game goes, the better their odds generally tend to become. They have played more of these high-stakes situations, and now Faisal runs into Quacker.
Yeah, Quacker's now losing this battle. We're at that point in the game where the Camille can just burst through the Olaf and make Olaf's life miserable. Quacker's now realizing that, so Blue Otter are going to reposition to try and take a traditional front to back. Approaching from the top side, Quacker is still here on the flank. He can take the blast cone over. Faisal's there as well, and Faisal will just say, I'm going all in. Blast cone used. Faisal doesn't have the hook anymore, and Diamond's in the pit all alone. He has to flash to safety. Supernova support goes forward very far.
Mid lane, Levitate.
Away. They're going for the game end. Look at Levitate pushing in. They're just trying to delay. They got the dragon as well, so no Dragon Soul for Supernova. Levitate will go down. Faisal gets the back off. But I think that Blue Water got what they needed with that Dragon Soul deny. It was a creative look to try and end the game, but Supernova, they still have 5 members up. They took down 2. They got a lot of tempo to work with right now.
That was a weird play overall, as Levitate just goes for the end. Faisal tells a teleport. If you had like teleports from Quacker and Samikin, I like it a lot. But you just don't, with how deep those waves actually ended up becoming. You get a Nexus turret, but a single Nexus turret doesn't change the outcome of the game almost ever. So they do end up getting the dragon, but it ends up just stalling out the game even further. As Levitate, I think it's very interesting that they just go for it, because Quacker is in a very bad spot right here where Supernova can just dunk on him as soon as the ultimate is down. He is forced to run out, and Blue Otter, they don't have great tools to get the rest of the fight started. They're just trying to get the dragon, and they throw Music in again, but there's no backup. And there's nothing that is helping Levitate on the other side. It feels like half measures, and as Breaking Bad has taught me, no half measures.
And it was just a 50-50 smite at the end of the day. The dragon reset and ran towards Music, which allowed him to get that smite, but almost feels lucky that Blue Otter even got that. So Supernova's composition is still getting scarier and scarier, and it is now a Dragon Soul point for both of our teams on the Rift here. We're getting into the late game here. Everybody strap in, because that Baron could signal the game-ending fight at this point. When everyone's got this many items, when minions run this fast, you can just end a game off of one team fight.
Alrighty, Supernova, they are the ones setting up around the Baron. The Iron Brushes make it so hard to check every single one. That's why you have to use the abilities from Samikin and Levitate. Make it rain, release the Singularity to see where things are. But the bottom lane wave is pushing in for Supernova. They have an opportunity. They have a bit of a timer that their opponents have to deal with. As Faisal shows up on the top side, he doesn't actually really want to see Music try and go for something a bit aggressively. He's been playing a lot of front-to-back style of team fights, which can work, but there are too many tools available to Supernova to make sure that they cannot layer the bullets on.
Oh, we're following up on a Faisal. He just used the hook shot, so maybe we can actually get on top of him. Sick ultimatum as he gets the cooldown again and gets out of there. That is a ultimate use as Necro Fate comes down onto 2 members. Music mistimes it though, and doesn't get the knock-up. Rovex almost dies to Faisal on the side there as the death sentence lands, meaning Ragnarok has to be used from Quacker and bullet time to buy space, but that's it. Blue Water have used so many ultimates, and they didn't really get anything.
Oh, Rovex.
This lands from Diamond, and he follows up on the flash. Rovex is out of there. Blue Water lost the fight before it even started. They just got real
that's it.
Levitate will even go down as well. Diamond is just sniping these death sentences left and right and front and center. Misses that one, but it's all right. Did your job. Faisal's still alive. Quacker goes down. Double kill to Toasty as, binded underneath the turret. Samikin punishes Faisal, who's going for even more, but I think the damage is done. Supernova gonna look to take the Baron.
Supernova, they end up coming out ahead of this very crazy fight, and now Toasty and Music still tangling. As Music's still around, Samikin has the ultimate available.
Samikin's got TP. He's gonna try and TP up to just the top wave. Music's got to get in there and try and get some vision down. It's so hard with Diamond playing goalie, but the Hex Gate, the portal, means that Music can actually get behind the pit, and Daisy's been summoned to try and buy space back there. Samikin can now walk up. Loosen Singularity will give them vision. They should see where Baron's at. Diamond repositions to keep Music away from here. It's up to Samikin. You can pop Kenvi. We've seen the damage come through, but the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from Lens. The player from Supernova, when the pressure's on, finds the play. As Lens will punish Samikin trying to approach. Music just needs to get into the pit, but Diamond has done his job, keeping the enemy jungler away. That is Baron buff to Supernova.
And Samikin will still be dead when this Hextech Dragon Soul spawns for Supernova.
No
Dragon
TP either.
7 is going to be going over towards Supernova. They have clutched their way out. The gold lead that Blue Water has built up for themselves over 40 minutes of gameplay is eroding, coming through from Supernova. And they've done such a good job at making sure all of these plays that Blue Water are going for are just completely stifled.
And in the tail moments of this game, so many impactful moments. Diamond with all of these hooks, keeping Music out of the pit. I feel like he just really came online on a pick that has not been very popular in the meta for quite a long time. Even after that game one where we were heavily questioning his Nautilus gameplay, Diamond is getting into the groove of things this time around. And has really bought Supernova a lot of space to work with. They're pushing in this wave. Samikin has respawned. They did not go straight to the Dragon on spawn, but they will get there now. Let's see if Blue Water can fight their way in.
Looking for these angles. Faisal has this fantastic flank, and Samikin cannot join the rest of the team. So this is going to be the Hextech Soul, probably the strongest soul in the entire game, the only slow that still stacks across everything. And now Supernova, they have the remaining Rally Cry Baron buff, they have the Hextech Soul, they have fought their way back to parity yet again in this game, and now Supernova, they are the ones in control. We haven't seen Samikin land one of these big ultimates in a while. He did so much work earlier on, but now he's just relegated to wave clearing these waves.
And unfortunately, with the Baron buff, big bullet time, does a lot of damage. I mean, that sentence can't really be followed up. Tempered Fate lands, it's only on the one member, can't quite tell who that is, but Gage, a follow-up from Quacker, who gets behind everybody, the flanking Olaf. Terrifying for Supernova. Toasty will kill Music before he goes down, and everybody's still up. Faisal had Guardian Angel and lived through it all. Supernova looking to put the final touches on this game 3. They just had to weather the storm of the early game, make the comeback happen, and they did just that. That's an ace for Supernova, picked up by Lens, and that is Game 3 to Supernova, going up 2-1 in the series.
These games are so close. These games are really pushing both these teams to their limits, and Supernova, the experience reigns true. Buying that Guardian Angel coming through for Lens wins them the game, because Ash stands back up as soon as the fight actually happens and makes sure that they still have DPS on the back half of it. The push and pull between Supernova and Blue Otter, not just on social media, it's continuing to the rift, so we have another replay.
Yep, as we take a look at this one, this was one of the plays top lane that really was the cascading failure for Blue Otter. They thought maybe we can catch Faisal, but Camille in the late game is so hard to lock down.
Yeah, we were praising Blue Otter quite a bit for just having his ultimates in the back half, but you see that Samikin, as he goes through his ultimate, hits it on no one. It ends up doing not a lot, and as Levitate tries to throw out the bullet time, as Quacker gets caught, he's not safe to do that. Look at the damage that comes out from Toasty to make sure the bullet time cannot continue. Then, of course, it ends. It starts with a rout. This is where it becomes dangerous when Diamond finally lands a death sentence. Cascading failure, like you call it, just making sure that there is nothing that Blue Otter can do.
And then the follow-up there onto Levitate. He goes down. Toasty was the artillery mage that they needed on the Hui. Just untouched here in this fight, walking up, getting everything down when it was appropriate, when it was safe. And Samikin did get that shut down at the end there. But from that point forward, it was the teleport play in. Music couldn't get in because Diamond kept him out. Samikin gets hit by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. They lose the Baron, they lose the timer for the Dragon, and they just lose the game.
That means
which brings us to our player of the game. And I gotta say, I agree with this one. Supernova support, Diamond stepping up huge on the Thresh.
Yeah, really seeing that Diamond, he does so much to stop a lot of the engagers, and then he even goes for his own. You remember that play they had in the mid lane where he catches 3 different people, setting up these plays for his team, keeping everyone safe, and making sure that nobody is going down to all of these plays that Blue Otter are trying to do. Diamond, one of the most veteran players that we have in the league, showcasing that he still got it after all these years.
Still got it and still bringing it to Blue Otter, because Supernova have had Blue Otter's number throughout the summer so far. They 2-0'd them in the regular season. They 2-1 them in the upper bracket, and now they are 2-1 yet again here in this best of 5 Fearless draft. We're going to send it to a short break before we are back for game number 4 to see if Supernova can continue their win streak. We'll be right back after this.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Dermaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Developmental. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
Here are your NACL Summer 2024 Rookie of the Split nominees. Blue Otter's Levitate.
And it's just buying time for everybody else to look for the fight, look for the engaged. Chime is just getting melted right now. They do trade one back, though. It's Music that goes down. Cyclone used by Quack, but that's the second one. He does not have another way. No, he does! There was another Cyclone! Double kill to Levitate. They're going to clean up.
Winthrop University's Denethor.
Put a hold on that because we're going to fight topside. Blue Otter's worries are not ending anytime soon. Blue is the way they are feeling right now because they are getting handled as Denethor is not done. He's level 6. He sees a level 3 Nautilus.
CCG Esports' Crimson. Oh, Fate Sealed. They got Samikin. He's going to go golden. He's buying a lot of time. Crimson. He's going to look for him, though. Look at Shochi buying all that, and then he brings the Spiraling Despair away from the team. Now they're chasing him down, and CCG! Doubters be damned! Beat down, they've made the comeback here, and Crimson is about to be the comeback king! Blue Otter's Samikin.
Cole engages on him, and Samikin's now in trouble. Flashes to safety. Blue Otter trying to lock down the other members of TLC, but Jenkins is in here. Samikin does kill him down on the clapback. Levitate unleashed in the fight. The Zeri pumping out damage as Samikin's dancing around. Flashes over with another bubble.
Keep your eyes on these players as they are just getting started. The future of the LCS starts right after the LCS.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
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 Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another Best of 5 in the NACL Summer Split 2024 Lower Bracket Playoffs. We have 2-1 score as Supernova take the lead now against Blue Otter and prove yet again that they just seem to have Blue Otter's number, despite the fact that for a lot of the series, it kind of feels like Blue Otter have been playing better. When it matters, Supernova step up and have the bigger impact plays, especially in that game number 3.
Really good stuff coming out from Supernova. I have been so fascinated at how much better Blue Otter's early games have been than Supernova, and how much more clutch Supernova have been later on in the games, because that one, it definitely felt as though their draft was just better from the start, but it took them a while to get there because Samikin in particular had so much control of the early game. He was really pushing around Toasty. Then Toasty ended up doing more damage than he did, and Diamond in particular completely controlling all of these fights. Music, who was our player of the game for Game 1, was not able to get anything done in the past 2 games.
And we knew going into that one that the composition, I mean, you just look at it. Olaf, Misfortune, J4, these are champions that have a spike, and then they have a fall off. And unfortunately, the fall off also kind of matches the fall off of the gold that you see on your screen there. They could not find the same engages. They could not find the same fights later on in the game. And Toasty just has so much consistent damage on the way more so than the Lux is able to provide. And yeah, it definitely showed there in the damage charts at the end of the game. But that is now 2 wins for Supernova in a row that were from gold deficits, pretty substantial gold deficits, which again shows that yes, Blue Otter are getting the early leads, but Supernova are just more clutch. They got that clutch factor, and they also have more experience as a total roster. So maybe no surprise considering the tenure of some of these players.
This also has been a trend for Blue Otter. During the regular season, if you talk to players like Quacker or Levitate, they're saying, yeah, we did a lot of trolling during the regular season. We were losing a lot of games we were supposed to be winning, and both these last 2 games feel like those exact same situations playing out. So Blue Otter needs to find a way to stop the bleeding. This is where the coaching staff from Thin Uncle Phil and Sneezes are really going to have to do a lot of work to keep them back in this series, whereas Supernova, their job is the opposite. They're like, all right, guys, let's just get 1 gold lead early on, and then we can close out from there. That's the main thing we need to do. So if we can put a stop to any of Blue Otter's early games, Supernova can close this one in 4.
And I gotta say, even if they don't close it in 4, Supernova are in such an advantageous position because this is full fearless best of 5. We're only gonna have 3 bans from each team for this 4th game. If Supernova drop it, there are 0 bans for the last game. So they will get first pick on side selection. Typically, they'll go for blue side, meaning first pick on champion, and you cannot ban champions. So, hey, Aurora, which has been perma-banned the entire series, guess what? That's available if you want to go for that. You really have your pick of all these different champions. So I think Supernova are just in that big of a advantageous position in the series that, you know, Supernova fans rejoice. It is game 4, though. Blue Otter still can make the miracle happen, but here's the champions that have been played so far that will not be available for the rest of the series.
Yeah, there's another big one that we have seen. Aurora has been banned every game on the red side, and then the other one has been Senna. Every single game,
yes,
red side has banned it. So, if we get to game 5, I mean, blue side's getting one of those for sure. So as we look at all these champions, or as we start looking towards the next draft, they remain on our screen. The AD carry position in particular is feeling very pinched, not necessarily because, you know, they played fewer champions there, but simply because it feels as though there are fewer good AD carries than there are champions in other roles right now.
True. And if you're Supernova, I almost wonder if the strat is ban Aurora, don't ban Senna. Because then you can guarantee, even if you lose this game 4, that you can get one of the most prioritized and powerful champions on the patch. Broken. Yeah, I wasn't going to say it, but if you want to say it, go for it.
I'll do it.
One of those broken champions on the patch, then you can deny your opponent kind of that next highest priority champion in the Senna. But Let's see if Supernova actually have that read. It's just one of the cool things that, strategy in a full Fearless best of 5 with the way that we have our ban system.
Yeah.
And allow for a lot of shenanigans for that game 5.
One of the other things that we oftentimes see in these situations is Supernova can be like, yeah, we can play for game 5. Like, it's okay. We can do all these bans to leave certain things up. Whereas Blue Otter is like, well, we need to get to game 5, right? You can't afford to even be leaving these opportunities for your opponents to play. Supernova, I think, are going to go with this exact same 3 bans as the Udyr, the Aurora, and probably Senna banned yet again. But the Gnar ban is really interesting coming through. I'm trying to think of what that would open up for the side of Quacker. Darius? Maybe? The Renekton's gone. Gnar is pretty decent into Gwen. I mean, he can't play the...
I think it's
Udyr.
Mostly just that you're taking away... I guess it's counterpick, but also they might expect Toasty to go for the counterpick. Faisal oftentimes is picking blind. They do just say Faisal's going to bite the bullet and lock in the blind pick top laner, so that could just be the blind pick top laner that Faisal would want to play.
That's also fair, as Maokai is going to be the first pick coming through for music. He still has the Sejuani and the Viego as his 2 most played champions available as we start looking towards game 5. If the Sejuani gets locked, obviously he will lose access to that one. But so far, Maokai already coming through, and a bit interesting to see that one come out for Blue Otter. We know that there's a lot of games being played by music on this, but it's not the, to quote Emily Rand from earlier, this is not the platonic ideal that we oftentimes see from Blue Otter. Right, it's not the quintessential thing. This is not how the platonic ideal. This is like if you could put everyone on their perfect champions. This is not what I think of when I think of Blue Otter.
I'm just confused why platonic is included in the description.
Because it has to do with Plato.
Oh. I don't think that's... I've never heard it used that way. And I'm going to press X to doubt if that's even allowed. But either way...
You got to hashtag esports philosophers after this, and you will learn.
We'll try it out in the old Discord. Yone and Sejuani locked in. So the melee combo for Sejuani, typically going into the mid lane. Toshi has played this before, but into the Talia can be a bit rough. You don't have as much access to that mobility because of the Unraveled Earth.
Blue Otter definitely moving into a very different position. They have been the ones calling the shots for throughout most of our games. That means that they've had to go into Supernova compositions that are trying to be more defensive, but this time the shoe's on the other head, and we do, in fact, have Supernova playing way more aggressively with their
That
Yone
one I
and
know
the
was
Sejuani.
set incorrectly. Yeah, there's no way that one, you don't put a shoe on your head, Josh. That's
all right.
That's silly.
I haven't been calling you out on all of the things that you had, prepared from before.
What do you mean prepared things?
There is at least one. The soup.
Oh, true. I've said that one before, though. That was a reference to my own
it's the
joke
first
that
one that
I
I've heard you say it at the very least, I think. Regardless.
Right, maybe we can pull out some more jokes later on.
Blue
They're definitely
Otter
off the cuff, everybody.
Are defensive. Yeah, we definitely do not have anything pre-written, for sure. Definitely not true. But Blue Otter is a very defensive composition this time. The Maokai, the Talia, the Xayah, all characters that like playing defensively, all characters that like your opponents coming into you. And that's part of why I really like this Caitlyn, because it outranges the Xayah pretty heavily, especially during the laning phase. And you can build up a pretty big lead that way. So it makes me wonder, is Blue Otter going to opt in to the regular lanes, or are they going to try and match it with more strength? Remember, the Rakan is not available. Also, remember, there are no more bans coming out. So this is just it. We're going to have to wait because we don't have the tech to go faster. But it means you can get a lot of discussion.
It means that we can break down exactly what happened in that first phase, because when I see the Xayah, I see it as like, this is such a good answer to the Sejuani and the Yone. Very clear and like obvious when the Yone is going to try and go in on you. You can just press R and avoid it. Kind of same with Sejuani if your reaction time's fast enough. So you're able to dodge out on all the engage to lock you down. And you also do a decent enough job of shredding through a Sejuani health bar that I think that it's perfect into those champs. But then, like you said, the Caitlyn outranging the Xayah is going to make laning phase a nightmare for Levitate in the bottom lane. So Rovex and what he gets could be a big difference maker here. I'm looking at things like the Melio maybe being up there just so that you can shield up, heal up from all that poke of Caitlyn, and then also just knock away the Sejuani and the Yone when they're trying to get on top of you. But I don't know if I even am convincing myself that that's the correct choice. I still think there could just be other better ones, but I almost imagine it's going to be an Enchanter and not an engage support.
You say that, but the one champion that I think of for Rovix
Braum?
as like a body blocker, he has played Braum, but his Alistar is the one that always comes to mind. Just like boot them out of any of these fights. I think that is an option here for Blue Otter if they do choose to go for it. The Gragas locked in here for Faisal up on the top side of the map, and I wonder what it is. The Darius can play, like it's fine. You assume that the Darius is going to come at some point.
I suppose it could be Darius. I just don't know if I like it that much. Oh, Blitzcrank I do like. If the Caitlyn's trying to abuse you from the range, we'll just pull her closer. the range advantage, it does not exist anymore. But no, it will just be the Alistar instead, which I think doubles down on a tough laning phase because Caitlyn can outplay an Alistar with the net. And it's going to be really hard to actually lock her down. So you're basically just saying bot lane is going to be rough in the 2v2.
It is going to be very tough, but it also says to me, like, Blue Otter wants to go for a lane swap, where you don't care if the lane is tough, because you're not going to be playing it early on. Now they just have to figure out what the counter pick into the Gragas is going to be. The Jax makes some sense to me. The Darius also, and there it is, Quacker finally coming through with the Darius this time around. He is going to be playing it up into the Gragas, but I'm also a little bit surprised. As much as we're talking about the lane swaps coming through, Darius does not really like being in lane swaps.
No, not particularly. I like if you're trying to get the Xayah Alistar out of the Caitlyn and then whatever support lane, you're basically sacking your Darius in order to do that, which does not feel very good. Karma as the combo with Caitlyn. Talk about lane bullies. Caitlyn outranging the Xayah and being able to bully the Alistar, and it gets even better when you factor in Karma poke and ability to speed up the Caitlyn to get even more aggressive.
I like Supernova's draft yet again coming into this one. ZZ has come through with a very strong combination of champions where you can be very aggressive. You have a very winning 2v2. You can leave the Caitlyn kind of alone. The Darius is a little bit homeless in this draft where it really wants to go into the Gragas, but if it ever gets caught up by the Caitlyn Karma, it does not have an opportunity to fight them.
Not at all. And it even can struggle sometimes into the lockdown and tankiness of a Sejuani. I know you can do a little bit of damage over time with your passive, but you're dealing with all this melee champions, so you're just going to be CC'd to oblivion, and you don't have the biggest health bar early on as Darius, so you also need to play respectfully, even if you can win that isolated 1v1. If your jungler is constantly helping out bot lane survive, you could be in trouble if you're the focus. Problem it can be. We'll see what Supernova decides to do here. And they want to play towards time is this game number 4.
I'm really looking at the fact that Quacker has opted yet again to not take teleport. Instead, it's going to be the Ghost Flash, which says that they're going to be throwing Levitate and Rovix under the bus this time around, making them go for the 2v2 lane early on, because Quacker cannot afford to take these summoner spells and end up in the 1v2 situation. So Supernova has a really strong say over how these early games are going to be going. And the other major thing is NACL finals coming up the day after the regular finals for LCS, which means that if you are in town, come get them. It's way cheaper. You can come hang out with us at the LCS studio. Get your tickets now at the link on your screen.
Yeah, almost no chance that you're flying back on Sunday immediately after LCS, right? If you got an afternoon flight, come check out the games. We're close to the airport. You know, you can just go straight from the studio to the airport.
That's genius. I like the cut of your jib.
I'm often explained as such, so or described as such. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Music
nailed
going
that
in.
one. Kenvi getting invaded right now. Samikin and Rovex walking all the way up. It's not a proper lane swap as Quacker will still be up top side, but they're going to be sharing XP with Levitate. The invade's kind of working. Kind of not. Kenvi gets headbutted away. That is the first camp taken by Music. Can he get all of them? Hits level 2. Now goes back in onto Kenvi. This is getting real funky real fast. Ignite used onto Kenvi. Flash away from Toasty as well as flash from Kenvi. Means the Supernova get out of there. Using a couple more summoner spells. Quacker even used Ghost to try and get in range. That was ambitious.
Yeah, I really like it. You really force a lot of this early play. And now both Rovix and Diamond hang out in the mid lane. Can be very, very low, booting him away from any of this experience and gold. But Supernova, they have to be happy with the situation overall. Even though Kenvi is slowed down quite a bit, he still has the jungle privilege. He is still going to be healing up after all of this, and it does mean that Supernova, they're the ones who are now putting Darius in a position where he is not strong whatsoever. He is at least avoiding the 1v2, but he's just getting a little bit of experience. He's not going to be able to walk back into lane with the Caitlyn Karma and be happy about anything.
We have a pause right now due to technical difficulties, so we'll keep everybody updated at home when we will get back into game. Hopefully, it's a short one. But you're right. This is not a good start, I would say, for Blue Otter. Quacker being behind in XP. I can't imagine why this was the game plan. Sharing XP with Darius alongside Levitate, because Lens is bot side all alone on Caitlyn. He's going to get 2 uncontested waves and probably an early plate. Caitlyn does a lot of damage very early to these turrets, and his bot turret, it's got less of those early armor defenses early in the game, and there's only one person there, so it's not even stacking very much. Curious if Blue Otter can get enough of a lead by just being annoying in the jungle, because that's the big trade-off. Music is taking away all the top camps and kind of pushed Kenvi away from those camps, so he's going to be behind, but you're Sejuani. Like, I think you're going to be fine.
It's going to be all right. At the same time, you still have so much power in the bottom side of the map. You can force a vertical jungle, so it's not as though Music can just go and defend his bottom half of the map super easily. He will pick up these high-value camps in the Raptors and the Krugs, but the real trick is always going back the second time and trying to pick up the second Raptors. And we'll see how Blue Otter do play over the next couple of minutes, because they're not going to get as much damage onto the structure as their opponents will in the bottom lane.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, they don't even have a demolish on Quacker or anything, so we do have Supernova with multiple members down here. It's not just Lens hitting it alone, but it doesn't matter. Faisal's down here, and they do get the 1 plate. Quacker will now get all of this XP, or at least most of the XP and all the gold, as teleport will come in from Faisal. Okay, so we're back to traditional lanes, and I would say this is the second time that Blue Otter have attempted a lane swap, and I think it's the second time that they've lost. I am happier with the way Supernova's early game went right there. That's a lot of gold on the Lens.
My biggest worry here is that Quacker doesn't have teleport. He's lost a lot of HP, and Faisal, he's already the same level. He's already the same CS because he teleports into the lane, whereas in the other side of the map, Lens and Diamond with a noticeable lead already, going over against Levitate and Robex with a level in both lanes, and Kenvi also in the bottom half of the map.
They're up in levels, and they are about to take the 3rd turret plate at 3 minutes 45. Kenvi cannot contest Music for the red buff, although Music, I guess, didn't realize that, so he actually backs all the way off of the red buff and will go down towards the Krugs instead. Yeah, now we see the back from Lens. What does he even pick up here? Is that a pickaxe? No, it's just going to be 2 long swords. Not quite enough gold, but still, I mean, look at that damage lead that he's going to have over Levitate. That is substantial.
Yeah, Quacker up on the top side at the same time. He runs back into lane. He buys boots, so he's down a bit in experience. We do see that there is more pressure from Faisal, but the movement speed buff is important in this lane, but he's just already down a level. So we'll see if Quacker's familiarity with his champion and the familiarity with the matchup will override any of these experience and gold deficits.
Okay, as mid laners trade against each other. You talked about the fact that it's not necessarily the first invade on the camps. It's being able to get that second rotation invade that really gets you ahead. Kenvi got the second spawn of the Raptors and is now looking top lane. Quacker's all alone, but mid lane, Music actually roams and picks up first blood. Quacker will go down, but at least is not first blood. It's Faisal that grabs that kill, but Music cashing in.
It's a kill for Faisal. It's a kill for Music. I think I know who I would rather have this money on. Faisal already in this awkward laning situation, putting Quacker on his iconic champion in a significant deficit. And Toasty, he loses a bit there, but he's going to be able to teleport back in and get plenty of this gold off these minions anyway. So Supernova, very happy with this lane allocation, very happy with this early game. And that's one of the major things we've been saying for Blue Otter. Their early games have been looking so good over and over again. And now, it's not a deficit, but it is a situation where they are not going to be finding any of these early game leads, and Quacker has relied on these counter picks to find parity in a lot of these games. Will no longer have that.
Yeah, he's behind in the 1v1, which is not what you want when you're playing the Darius. The champion does not do very much against the enemy composition. Okay, yeah, well, we didn't have to zoom in on that, but we did. It's all right, David.
We'll call it a dodge.
Next time. As we see Kenvi heading towards the bottom side, maybe a dragon look here as The grubs look juicy from Music, and Music has been highly prioritizing the grubs so far throughout the series.
Yeah, they've had 3 games where I think they've had all 6 grubs overall for Blue Water. Unfortunately, they have not had the ability to split super effectively to make use of those. Quacker might be able to do it, and he is reasserting some control from the top side of the map, but he relies on being ahead with this Darius. He relies on having lots of targets to hit, and I'm very worried that he's only going to have a couple of chances that'll take too long to kill.
Rovex and Levitate trading against Lens and Diamond right there. Not quite winning it. The Dragon's gonna be a little slower. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the 6 grub stack even is gonna necessarily save Quacker here. They're gonna have to put some more attention up there. Maybe a dive onto Faisal could be the play, but hard to dive a Gragas with the explosive cask.
Yeah, he's already level 6.
Position is here. Yeah, it's pretty ahead.
I kind of wonder if you can put Toasty in the dirt, but this is already a tough lane to make that happen. Toasty now has the ultimate, still has the flash available, can just leave a lot of these plays, and Music coming in the first time to try and help out Samikin does get Music that gold, but it doesn't feel as though it's allocated in great places, and we're already seeing that Samikin, the only person on the map who really has some kind of gold lead over his opponent.
And also the only one with a counter matchup that's in the position that you would expect it to be in at this point of the game because of how that gank went onto Quacker earlier on. Although, as I say that, Toasty actually does get aggressive right there. He doesn't use the Fate Sealed yet, but Samikin's got to be careful because if that happens again, Toasty might just find the all-in kill.
The really tough part is between Second Wind, Absorb Life, and Fleet Footwork, like Toasty's HP is like actually just way more than it looks like at any given time.
The Thorn Shield too, yeah.
Yeah, it's just so much effective regen, so much extra HP that he's getting over and over again that he needs to be put behind. You need to be able to auto-attack him quite a bit, and Yone is a character that's like, wait, you don't get to auto-attack me, I'm auto-attacking you! So it ends up being a very tough position. So Supernova, they just need to make sure they don't lose their cool from this position, and they can continue to nickel and dime their opponents. They have better siege in their opposition between the Karma and the Caitlyn, and Blue Otter have a composition that is very difficult to actually find their own engagers unless Rovex has a flash up.
Gold's basically dead even, but it's spread across Music as the one holding it for Blue Otter. And the Maokai with the gold is not necessarily where they want it to be. Bot side still ahead with about 2 waves worth, and all those plates is now a dive might be the angle. Since you see Music, I don't think you ever go for it though, so Kenvi will back off. They're just playing around Lens and Diamond, like you said, nickel and diming. Letting Lens and Diamond push these waves in and just get 1 or 2 auto attacks on that turret every time. Eventually they will get all those plates.
Ooh, look at where Kenvi is as well.
Not looking like it landed. And we could look for the Arctic Assault into Glacial Prison, give the least amount of reaction time for Samikin to dodge out. And then Toasty could look for the Fate Sealed over the top. Or they could do the same plan, but linked up bot lane here. Levitate has ultimate, Rovex does not, so the Alistar is squishy. Once he's level 6, it's almost impossible to dive this duo, but for right now, there was a window. I don't think they found it, though.
Yeah. Levitate discovers that there is a boar in the bush and says, that is not what I had signed up for whatsoever. And yet again, Kenvi has flipped the script a little bit in this one. Music has been farming so much more efficiently, but this time around trying to be the one invading onto Music. My fight, Music gets it.
All right, is able to defend his own buff and then get out of there. But the fact that Kenvi's recovered from that early invade of Music, or maybe not fully recovered in terms of camp clear, but in terms of pride, being able to counter invade onto Music. Good to see from the jungler of Supernova as their bot lane could be in trouble. Music is still hanging around here. They had the vision priority, so they can spot out the Maokai's there. And honestly, the first look from either of these junglers actually on the bot side to play towards Lens and Diamond. Kenvi's been hovering here, but hasn't actually like committed to anything yet.
Yeah,
as yet again, he will just hover.
They're slowly picking the turret. That's all they really need to do. Slowly build up this gold lead for Lens over Levitate. It's currently... Well, we'll take a look at it in a bit, because Kenvi's coming down. This might be the turret. No.
Actually, it looks like it could... No, they're not committing to the autos on the turret. Instead, they're trying to poke down Rovex.
Yeah, but there's
makes me think maybe a dive on the next wave. I mean, Kenvi's still hanging out around here.
It forces Music to be here as well, like both junglers just forgoing their camps to play around this bottom side of the map. Both players know how important it is for this.
Oh, they did not expect music, though. You gotta imagine they pinged at the grubs. Lens flashes away from the headbutt. Rovex has spot the unbreakable. A lot of damage out of Kenvi. He's locked down, and that's a kill to music. He's gonna keep chasing on a Diamond, who has flash available, but Lens does not. As the cleanse, flash, Q from music did not knock Diamond back with a flash forward from Levitate. He wanted it. Gets flashed out of Diamond, who will survive, but Supernova are now corralled because Samikin has roamed down. Toasty has a teleport, but he's gonna have to go towards the turret. And actually will not even use it. Blue Otter don't have the wave yet. They're trying to clear out this one, and I think it's a little late to go for the dive. They decide to back off.
Yeah, nice try from Music, going for the Q flash, trying to knock Diamond back, but Diamond not going the direction that Music wanted him to, and that is going to be 1 kill for Blue Otter. Nice thumbs up as Faisal.
That's an interesting little body
still
slam.
The hat there.
Minion's doing too much. Oh, Explosive Cask was used.
But still, overall.
Interesting going on with Gragas' abilities on the Spectre client right now.
Yeah, you know, he's doing a good job. He's got a lot of HP, has a lot of mana, already has the Seraphs completed, so it's very difficult to take him down. And another kill goes over to Music. He is the richest man on the map. Unfortunately, he's a tree. He doesn't necessarily get a whole lot accelerated with this build. At the same time, we're gonna get another trade. Blue Otter yet again finding even more of the grubs, finding all 6 of them for 3 games straight at this point. But Supernova getting the first 2 dragons. It is going to be yet again another trade.
Music will go towards the Grubageddon for what, the 3rd game this series? Has been hyper fixated on this objective. Quacker delivered this time around. He hasn't really had a chance to even hit that turret topside. It's so hard to hit the turret when there's a Gragas and his wave clear with the barrels. Blue Otter are hoping that this will pay off because the early Dragon stacking from Supernova has been the magnet that they've needed. Getting Dragon Soul is a arguably just bigger win condition, and if you can pull the enemy team into you to contest that Dragon Soul, oftentimes you have more say in how that fight's going to pull off. The bot turret finally falls as Toasty's the one to rotate down and grab it.
Full money going over to Toasty as we're just now getting some plates going towards Levitate and Rovex, but there's enough wave clear from Faisal that it's a very difficult counter take from Levitate and Rovex, and Supernova finding their first real bit of a lead in any of these early games actually from this series, just because Supernova finally coming out a little bit more clutch. And now Kenvi still up on the top side of the map. He's doing a fantastic job making sure that Music cannot do anything, just preventing the Maokai from trying to blow open this game.
Outside of that one play bot lane, that Music got a 2nd kill there. It looked like Kenvi definitely expected Music to be topside. Kenvi has just had the read of where Music is, where he needs to be. Less about making the actual plays and going for ganks and just hovering on that side of the rift. And a lot of that speaks to the experience of Kenvi. We talked about that a little bit, and that Supernova just on average have more tenure as players than the Blue Otter roster. Very young roster coming in from Blue Otter. Kind of feels like that 5 friends in a dream mentality that we've seen in years past. Whereas Supernova, Kenvi has had time in the LCS. Diamond has had time in the LCS, and in these clutch big impact moments, feels like you can see that experience, you can feel that experience. Maybe that comes up here. Supernova have the inside track on the Herald. Blue Otter are trying to approach. Going to be down to Rovex to find that engage as Music's focused on the blue buff. Now throws out the Nature's Grasp. It's going forward, only hits onto 1 member, but they hard commit onto him. Kenvi's actually the focus. He is the tank as well, so he absorbs everything. Toasty unleashed in the fight, and Kenvi still makes it out of there. The flash from Samikin was out of the Weaver's wall. He just wants the kill, man, and he finally will get it.
Quacker.
Oh, was it worth it at the end of the day? Kenvi's down, no smite, but Faisal's fine. Rovex falls. Lens can get in here, and Diamond, the Karma, can just help everybody chase down.
Okay.
Seismic shove, but a double kill comes through from Lens. Quacker finds the shutdown, gets the ultimate reset, but under the turret goes the dive. Toasty picks up another one on the Samikin.
Ah, it's so sad. It feels as though this series has been so close. Blue Otter has been roaring through every single game, and this one almost anticlimactic as Supernova just slowly beating them in every single one of these engagements. We are seeing Faisal find himself a couple of kills. Lens gets a couple. There are some small wins here and there for Blue Otter, but now Supernova, their first real gold lead of the entire game. Lens is already on that collector, building towards another item. And Supernova, sure, they're going to be giving over the Rift Herald finally at this point, but they bought so much time on the map that the Caitlyn going to be skipping over a lot of the issues that this champion normally has early on in the game because we've gotten past it already.
And from the side of Blue Lions, the community has rallied behind their journey in the lower bracket, but it feels like this is one final miracle that they're going to be asking for. It's been a hell of a run so far, but they are backs against the wall to Supernova, the more experienced roster, the higher seed, the team that they have not taken down in the summer season, 2-0ing them in regular season, 2-1ing them in the upper bracket, and putting them in the legendary lower bracket run to begin with. But it looks like Supernova are the demons of Blue Otter, not just through the Twitter clapbacks, but through the Rift itself. They just have not been able to find their way into this series.
Definitely feels like how many times do I got to teach you this lesson, old man, kind of game, right? Where a Blue Otter,
Young kid,
like,
you know?
Yeah, you know. Whippersnapper.
Whippersnappers. Yeah, there we go. Toasty in the 1-1 against Samikin, and he just wins it. That is the only lane that was winning in the early game for Blue Otter. Samikin was holding it down, but now that we've transitioned into the side lane, Toasty getting the better of his mid lane opponent.
Yeah, Samikin has been outlaning Toasty so much, but later on in these fights is where Toasty has been shining. This time, 17 minutes in, is finally when Toasty feels as though he is outperforming his opponent, his rival that he's had for so much. And Blue Otter, they're moving together here, but look at this great flank coming through from Faisal. We saw how impactful Philip can be on this Gragas, and now it's going to be Faisal's turn to showcase that he's not the only one.
Oh, they also have to worry about the mid lane. I mean, they just left Levitate all alone there in a 1v3, so that's Featherstorm used. Levitate will not have the ultimate available for this fight, and they even lose the top turret. I mean, Toasty just stuck around, still has the teleport, so Blue Otter, they're going to start the Dragon very late. They're not going to have full control over mid lane. They're not going to have ultimate out there to carry. They're not going to have numbers advantage here because the teleport's coming in. Nature's Grasp is used. Rovex on the flank, flashes in. They're trying to get Toasty. Actually, it's Faisal that's the focus here. The AP Grog is they just don't have the damage. Toasty goes over the top and will take down Quacker. Look at Levitate. Look at Music. They're in a 1v2, but they cannot kill the mid laner. But they will kill the top laner. Faisal will finally fall. Diamond in a lot of trouble. Samikin's doing so much damage on the side. Levitate's walking forward. Blue Otter. They do not know the meaning of failure. They do not know the meaning of quit. But they will learn here in this fight. Toasty almost falls down. Samikin over the wall cannot lock him in place. Supernova hold the line. It looked so good for Blue Otter for a little bit there, but Levitate goes way too far forward. Maybe they can get this dragon. Kenvy's going to look for it, though.
Oh, this is an overplay from Blue Otter if I've ever seen it. Supernova are still here. Toasty has ult.
Maybe an outplay. Maybe it is. Music dodges out on the Arctic Assault with the Twisted Advance, but now a teleport coming in from Faisal means the Blue Otters still need to back off. Their health bars are just not there to secure the dragon.
I mean, well played at the very end. You do end up getting a teleport out from Faisal, but it's still going to be this Cloud Dragon. Should be going over to Supernova momentarily. You find an extra kill. But I need to show you guys something real quick. Look how much money Toasty has. This guy is so rich already. He has 1,500 gold over his lane opponent and 2,000 over everybody else on Blue Otter so far. He got the entire bottom lane turret. He got 725 gold off of that first turret. He got the top lane turret left to himself. He's got 3 kills. He is so well in this game, and the Yone doesn't have a very clear answer. There's not enough easy crowd control on the side of Blue Otter to prevent him from getting into all these fights. And as another turret goes down, as we cross the 20-minute mark, Supernova, 3 dragons, 3,000 gold. Faisal in trouble.
Maybe a pick, though. Faisal is in trouble. Use the body slam and the flash to try and get away, but Quacker just doesn't have the damage. Faisal is bleeding under the turret. Is the Darius passive enough? He's trying to heal back up with the W. And it is
minions.
the minions. Oh, the auto attacks from the minions got him. Oh, Faisal. It was so close, but he does not get out. Rovex goes back in. What a psychopath. He says, no, the only way that we get back in this game is if we play like that. Shut down, picked up by Music. That's a kill on the lens.
Oh my gosh, Blue Otter are not done. They're not going gentle in that good night. I was thinking this game was going to be anticlimactic, but Blue Otter coming swinging right back on in. They find several kills, and now they're starting off the Baron. They understand how dire so much of the situation is. They need to find advantages now.
Rovex has to keep Kenby out of the Baron pit. I think burn the Baron. I don't know if you're going to be able to take the fight here. Toasty is too strong. They're letting Kenvi get forward. Rovex is not playing aggressively, but they're trying to lock down Toasty instead. This works as well. He snaps back, goes back into the music. Who went in on the Diamond and Kenvi away from the rest of the team. Toasty gets out of there.
Oh, they don't get the Baron either. They end up spotting the Rift Herald, but it doesn't get anything done here. It is still this small win coming through from Supernova. They find 1 kill, and Toasty in the middle of 3-4 members of Blue Otter does not die. Blue Otter just so far behind in this game. That was their one way in, and I agree. I would have loved to see them try and burn the Baron, but they didn't have the DPS.
They have Levitate, they have the Leandries from music. I feel like if Rovex just stands his ground and headbutts Kenvi away, I mean, you're probably giving up your life because the karma's right there on top as well, but they decide to make the play that they made, and they get punished for it. Lose a couple members, they do not get the Baron. Now that's a 3,000 gold lead with Dragon's Soul point to Supernova as they can establish control over the Rift. But still props to Blue Otter for what happened right before the Baron. I mean, it's a very stressful situation for a very young roster, and the fact that they even found that little window, I think deserves some props still.
I also want to... okay.
Grasp used. And Faisal just walks away from it, has the teleport available. Is he going to go into Alcove and try and TP out of this one? Body slam away. Quacker continues the chase, and they found him. He's just trying to waste time while the rest of the team is looking for a siege bot lane. Feather Storm used. Feather recall offered by Faisal. He's buying so much time right now. This is so annoying. Blue Otter can't even get on him. He's going to try and die to the turrets, but he can also just back here. He's going to go all the way into the base. As now the play's happening in mid here. Samikin, nice seismic shove onto Kenvi. He is taking up damage on the turret side, steps the Fate's Call, but still it is sealed. Toasty finds the damage.
Faisal got out. Faisal teleported out of that one as well. That is just a heartbreaker, and this is the moment where whenever you are so far behind in a game, whenever you fought your heart out for 2 games straight, if you were going to try and come back, it would have had to be in the last several minutes. It would have had to be in these big gasps, these big breaths of air that you had, but it's gone. Faisal gets out, and now you're underwater. Blue Otter, they have to reach deep into these tanks if they want to try and find another opportunity, if they want to try and continue the Cinderella story that has been their run through the lower bracket thus far. But Supernova, Big Brother, keeping them under, not allowing them to come up for breath.
And I gotta say, I think I spotted some Finns out there as well. It's pretty much every danger you could imagine. Somebody spotted the Kraken earlier too. Blue Otter's gotta have to fight mythic proportions to get back into this one. Yeah, call Poseidon while you're at it. It's just everybody. And Blue Otter now will have to try and catch us midway, but Supernova, what a series from them. They are proving that they are without a doubt the dominant team here, that there is a substantial difference between the 4th and 5th seed and a drop-off in the team, the rankings rather, going into playoffs. We weren't quite sure if Blue Otter would be the team that could be the dark horse to upset the teams above them in the standings, and Supernova saying, nah. Nah, they really are, little bro. We took them out regular season, we took them out upper bracket, and we are on the precipice of taking them out here. 5,000 gold lead, and there's the engage, just right onto music. Not enough to kill. Explosive Cast almost does the job. Ace in the hole will be tanked by Samikin, but that's the enemy jungler. The Maokai is going to have to try and heal up, maybe go for the Baron, because that Dragon Soul should belong to Supernova.
Dragon Soul, Toasty going to be doing it. He will be very healthy the entire time. Yes, Music has the Warmog, but his opponents didn't even need that.
Oh, they're not even going to go for it. It is the Cloud Soul, but now it's Music who flash was advanced forward. Seismic shove huge from Samikin. Maybe they can do it there. They got one. It's Faisal. They haven't taken down Kenvi yet. He's going to try and heal back up. I believe he had the Warmogs as Quacker goes forward. Hit up by the Sejuani passive, and now Toasty gets onto Levitators, and so much for less to flash away from the Fate Seal. Flash follow from Toasty, and he's dominating in this game. Toasty on the Yone is showing up. This guy, there's a reason that we've hyped up this mid laner. There's a reason that we were surprised that his last split, he didn't even pick up Rookie of the Split, but going into this one, we were like, it could just be his year regardless. Supernova's mid laner steps up when they need him, and now they are straight on to Baron.
Toasty is not done. Looking for Rovex yet again on the back side of it. Rovex, even with the ultimate, barely going to be getting out, and Toasty says, no, Samikin, get over here.
I think they're all dead. I think that's it. Lens will get the kill credit for that one. Music respawns to think maybe I can get towards the Baron, but they don't need Baron. They just need the kills. That's a double to Lens as Faisal has respawned, and Supernova will now go for the objective.
It just feels like Supernova is in total control. We've looked at this from Blue Otter, but Blue Otter, usually they're the ones who have had the good early games. They're the ones who have had these strong starts, and Supernova have to claw their way back. But now this is what happens when you give Supernova control of the game early on. A huge gold lead already coming through, and there's a huge difference in the gold lead that Supernova have built up for themselves compared to the ones that Blue Otter have had. This is the curve that you expect to see from strong teams. This is the curve where you just have slow opportunities to build things up until they become too big of a problem for Blue Otter to deal with. And now, if Blue Otter can't do anything, you know, looks like worrying trends, right? If anybody remembers Cloud9 balls going absolutely nuts, they have to try and find something.
Yeah, this is
not here.
The type of nuts that you want. Yeah, Rovex and Music were both on a ward dropping path, I suppose, maybe looking for something top, but Rovex gets caught out right there, and it looks like this could just be the victory push for Supernova, the consistent team throughout the split, constantly taking down the teams below them in the standings, and this looks like they're right back to old tricks here. All members still up. Weaver's Wall will delay some time, make the minions go a slightly awkward way, but I think it's only delaying the inevitable. Supernova are walking forward. They are inevitable for the third time. The consistent team looks to take down Blue Otter and end their miracle run, but maybe not right now. Blue Otter actually have respawned. Rovex, as the Alistair is scary enough as an engage tool, so Supernova decided to back off. All right, never mind, game's not over. Supernova will have to make one final push.
Supernova, they come in. Faisal teleports towards the top side, gets themselves another kill. We're cresting 10,000 gold lead coming through from Supernova. Just about everyone has a component, a full entire item up on their lane opponent. Toasty with 2 completed items more than his opponent in Samikin. Supernova has been a team, most of their players have gotten farther than this already. Lens, a player who had gotten 5th. There were 2 splits in a row, was worried about potentially getting his 3rd consecutive 5th place in playoffs. Diamond was part of the Cloud9 Academy back in the day that was winning back-to-back championships over and over again. One of the most dominant organizations we've seen in Tier 2 in forever. Now Faisal, Toasty, Kenvi trying to make sure that they don't have any repeats of their previous playoffs experience.
Yeah, and Toasty, this is also, I know, only a 2nd split, but he ended his first playoffs in that 5th place alongside Lens, so this would be a big deal for both of them. Lens ending a longer streak, but both of them reaching peaks here in the NACL. As Blue Otter look to make their one final defense here. Nature's Grass goes out, not going to do too much. The Glacial Prison lands. Samikin taking a whole boatload of damage, as Genfu's actually engaged on as well. Rovex got in there, Toasty taking a lot. Redemption goes down, but it does not heal up the Yone. He's going to have to try and heal off of the minions. The Blue Otter have the advantage of using their fountain, but they do not have the advantage of many turrets. Oh my goodness! Levitate almost one shot by a headshot. Len's doing quite a bit of damage here on Kaylin, and now, speaking of turrets, they're all gone. Supernova, they have an open Nexus to start hitting, and Blue Otter are going to have to mount a miracle defense here. Music tries to go in. Rovex with a knockup only onto the tank, and that's the ultimate used by Levitate. All right, they took down Kevin, and they actually outplay Toasty, who jumped into the Feather Recall, immediately rooted up, and he goes down. That's 1,000 gold shutdown to Quacker. Blue Otter were not ready to say goodbye to this season. They were not ready to say goodbye to the dream. They will continue to fight in their base. Lens and Diamond still up. They can limp away, but they do not end here. Blue Otter refuse to yield.
Job's not done just quite yet. Blue Otter, they're still alive. But Genghis are still down 9,000 gold. They still are missing 2 inhibitors. We have 30 seconds until the Elder Dragon spawns. That could be the solution to their problems with the teleport coming up from Toasty and no Nexus turrets. You have to make sure you sweep every single ward from your side of the map. Otherwise, you can just lose trying to contest these objectives.
We got 3 control wards placed down, so I mean, they at least know that there's not in the immediate vicinity, but you never know. Was there one placed on the other side of the wall? Was there one placed closer to the inhibitors? can always be tough to tell if you're actually safe, but you know for certain that that Elder Dragon is up in 5 seconds. If you don't get this, this game is over. Your season is over. Your year of competitive Tier 2 in League of Legends is over. Supernova in such a dominant position can force Blue Water to walk into them. Does Music have that dog in him? Can he get in onto this dragon and steal it away from Kenvi? They're burning it down fast. Supernova clearly focused on the objective. Nature's Grasp will go out. No flash available. Blue Water have pushed them
Kenvi
away
on
for now.
side.
Hit onto Kenvi. He can't quite get in there, but he goes back in. It's Toasty that gets it. And it's Supernova that can now crush the fight. They take down Music, and with the Elder Dragon burn, there's just no hope for Blue Otter. Triple kill to Lens as he will march forward to the furthest he's ever made it in an NACL playoffs alongside his mid laner Toasty. They're gonna chase down Samikin because they want the ace for the cherry on top. Supernova deny the miracle run from Blue Water and prove the consistency as they will take them down for the 3rd time this split. Supernova continue their lower bracket ride.
Supernova, they're looking for that rematch into FlyQuest. This is a team that was built in mind to go to that Tier 2 tournament going down in Brazil. This is a team that was built to have an opportunity to win the entire thing, and their journey is still alive. They have a rematch going up against FlyQuest, who they lost to in Week 6. America's challengers still on their radar, but it took them a long time. They had such close games going up against Blue Otter, a team we never expected to be here in the first place.
Blue Otter, I think, overperformed, was the 5th seed coming into playoffs and did end 5th. So, I mean, kind of spot on for that, but it's because of how they were positioned at the beginning and then mid of the summer split that we thought they were overperforming in the second half. But at the end of the day, Supernova, they are that consistent team. And Lens, look at that Caitlyn damage, just absolutely crushing this game number 4. We talked about pressure on players. Lens is somebody that was 2 splits in a row, 5th place. Now finally broken past that barrier into at least 4th place. Let's see how far they can continue to go. But it's cool to see him also be the primary damage dealer carry in that game 4.
Yeah, really impressive stuff with all the Piltover Peacemakers he was putting out. The ace in the hole, the auto attack that nearly killed Levitate all by itself. Post-game breakdown, once again, presented by The Real Cost. It really goes to show the real cost of even this series that comes through. Blue Otter just looked spent in the last game of that. Supernova were able to take them down yet again. So really good stuff to Supernova, showcasing the resiliency. This could have very easily been a series that was a 3-0 if Blue Otter could just push a little bit harder, but Supernova not letting that happen.
Not letting it happen, and hearts go out to Blue Otter, who a lot of people were rooting for. You got a little bit of that Dark Horse underdog energy as they were making a deep run in the lower bracket, but Supernova yet again deny them a series win in playoffs. So with that said, Supernova are your victors. We're going to send it to our short break before we are back with an interview of one of the victorious players right after this.
Hey, did you know that kid is vaping the same toxic chemical that's used in taxidermy? Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Dermaldehyde. Formaldehyde. 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 Formaldehyde.
Here's a fact that'll stop you in your tracks. Teens who vape can be exposed to toxic chemicals like formaldehyde. Know the real cost.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Rally Cry post-game interview. I'm Joshi, and I'm joined here by Toasty, the mid laner of the victorious Supernova. And Toasty, man, what a series that was. You guys showcasing a ton of resiliency, and we got to start off with the fact that you guys had some pretty big deficits, especially in games 2 and 3. What does it take to reach down into the bag and pull out the wins, even in the face of adversity?
I mean, honestly, like, a few of our early games were a bit rough. We just had a few misplays, so I mean, we all know that our minigame macro is good. As long as we keep to our plan, we'll be okay. So we really weren't sweating that much when it came to like when we were down gold a lot. Yeah.
That's impressive. I know there's a lot of people who have been playing for a while. Is there anyone in particular that you think you can credit to keeping your guys' minds in the game?
I mean, Diamond and Ken are like really vocal leaders in game, so they make sure our confidence is high throughout the game, even if we're like a bit behind. And Lens is like always like on downtime, just saying like, "Oh, it's okay, guys, we can win. Like, don't worry, guys, we can win. Don't worry." So I mean, and even Faisal too. Like, a lot of people on our team are very positive when we're down.
Nice. Sounds like you guys have some really strong monk mental over there, but you have to be one of those as well, because in this series you're going up against what a lot of us have been describing as your arch rival that we currently have here, Toasty, a player that we've been seeing you play against since, you know, Evil Genius's combines and all of the different tryouts that you guys are doing alongside each other. You guys have a long history. So what is it like playing up against somebody that you have such a close relationship with?
Okay, I mean, we don't have like the closest out of game relationship, I guess. Like, we don't really talk all that much, but like this past split in the off season, we played against each other a lot, like you said before. And I mean, I don't know, I always just like send a nice message over like after we play, stuff like that, like GG's bro, like you actually played really well, like but I mean, other than that, oh, actually I learned that Samikin lives like 20 minutes away from me. Like, he actually lives close to me, so it's actually kind of ironic that like he lives in Philly and I live like right outside of Philly, so it's like, it's pretty cool.
Man, that's really fun. You guys got to go like after
some meetup or something.
Playoffs is over. You know, just go send something, post some photos onto social media. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. But I also have to look at how much harder the road becomes from here, because Blue Otter was a team, a big dark horse that went a lot farther. But coming up next, you have to play up against FlyQuest, and if you win that, you're playing the brutal gauntlet where you have to play every day. So how are you guys preparing for the rest of playoffs?
I mean, we're just making sure we're locked in, making sure we're playing our game, because we think that as long as we play our game, like all of these teams are beatable, even Dragonsteel that like haven't lost a series or whatever. So, I mean, it's definitely gonna be a long road, and we're playing throughout this entire weekend if we keep winning. So, I mean, it's gonna be fun.
Makes a lot of sense. Best of luck to you in this long series. Before I let you go here, Toasty, is there anything, or is anyone else you'd like to shout out?
I mean, I'd like to shout out my team, first and foremost. They smurfed it today, and they're going to smurf it tomorrow, and then Sunday as well. I'd like to shout out all my friends watching, maybe family, I'm not sure. And I'd also like to shout out Demonsigny Daniel. It's ZZ's dad. He watches like all of our games. So shout out to Demonsigny Daniel.
Shout out to Daniel. That's awesome. Well, good luck to you, Toshi. You guys have a very tough road ahead of you. Here's hoping that we have an opportunity to see you guys in Sao Paulo and in Los Angeles. But for now, we're going to go ahead and bring Kangas back in. And we start to get ready for the close. But Kangas, it looks like we have a bit of a surprise coming up for everybody as well.
We do. Not only did we just chat with Toasty, but we built up the rivalry of the mid laners coming in around the same time to the North American Tier 2 League of Legends scene. We will also be chatting with Samikin, as this is the last opportunity that we'll have to chat with a member of Blue Otter for the rest of the competitive season for 2024. It's a brutal season. It's only, end of July going in, or rather end of August going into September, sorry. But there's going to be no more competitive league for them to play here going forward. So while we're getting that set up, it gives us time to talk about that schedule that Toasty was talking about, because this is going to be not easy if they want to make it to Sao Paulo. They got to go through FlyQuest Challengers tomorrow, and then FearX Starforge the day after. That is back-to-back-to-back best of fives against the best teams remaining in the tournament just to make it into that finals against Dragonsteel, where whether they win or lose that, they already qualify for America's Challengers, but that's two tough opponents to beat along the way there if that is their goal.
It's also worth noting that they lost to FlyQuest during the regular season, but they did but they did beat FearX Starforge during the regular season. So it's a tough set of opponents, but it's not an impossible one. And I think I would not have expected this bracket to go that much differently than we end up seeing, right? At the end of the day, it's still Dragonsteel waiting up in Grand Finals. Fear, FlyQuest, and Supernova just waiting behind it, looking for their opportunity to take them down and have an opportunity to take down the whole Challengers League.
Yeah, and again, the big boogeyman up at the top there, Dragonsteel, yet to drop a series. Just doing a fantastic job overall, expecting them to be heavy favorites going into that championship match. But the real question is, who is the other team that we will be sending to America's Challengers? But I'm hearing, Joshi, that we have the interview ready with Samikin. So yet again, I'll pass it off to you to take it away.
Well, welcome back to our second Rally Cry postgame interview. I'm joined here by Samikin, unfortunately bowing out in this bracket. But Samikin, we're bringing you on because I think the story that Blue Water has had over the course of this season is one that's really special. Because I know that you guys put out on social media recently that most people in the community had you guys going out. A lot of people were expecting you guys to play in the promotions yet again, but you proved so many different people wrong. So I just want to open the floor at the beginning to just hear what the story has been like for you guys.
Honestly, we were so ready to play the full gauntlet. I was supposed to start pack. I was supposed to pack my PC today, get ready for the next game, take a 7-hour car ride to Boston to set up my PC at my college dorm. So ready. I was like, oh wait, then we lost. I was like, oh, that's unfortunate, really.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have had such a long journey. I think there's a lot of fans coming through for you guys. And so I kind of want to ask, what was it that allowed you guys to outperform all the expectations that people had set up for you earlier in the season?
Honestly, I would sound like a broken record, but it's definitely our coaches, the ones that stuck through with us the entire time ever since we were in NACL open qualifiers and through the team iteration that changed from open qualifier spring to summer NACL. And then also we had a lot of practice. We were scrim partners with the STL, so they definitely helped elevate our game by allowing us to play against a lot better opponents, especially as rookies.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that then. This has been your rookie split as well as Levitate's in particular. You guys are both, on the short list here for the rookie of the split. So I'm kind of curious then, as a rookie, this is the end of your first competitive split. What's next for Samikin? What's next for what you want to do with the off season and the rest of your competitive career?
What a great question. You will be able to catch me and Levitate, the amateur duo, in ACL this upcoming in a month or so, playing. I guess I shouldn't say who we're playing under yet, but we'll be playing with a whole bunch of other names that we see in the qualifiers, and I hope we'll be able to be a really good amateur team, quote unquote amateur.
Well, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys continue. Before I let you go, Samikin, once again, I want to say just how much fun it has been to watch the story of you and Blue Water. Are there any shoutouts you'd like to give before we let you go?
Whew. Well, let's see. There's just too many. Okay. Let's go through all of them first. I'm blanking.
You have the list. You gotta have it ready.
This is all too overwhelming. Of course, then Uncle Phil. If he's not a coach in the next NACL split, something is wrong. I hope to be able to work with him again. Sneezes. He is currently retiring, but he was a great coach, and I wish him all the best. All of my teammates stuck with me, especially Rovex and Music, staying with me the whole time, elevating me from NACL OQ level to NACL level. And then all the people at the SCL, I wish we could have all met them together with Phil coming all the way to Brazil, or going all the way to Brazil and LA. And then, honestly, my parents as well. They allowed me to play here, even though we're so close to school, and Yeah, just being able to make all these plans, even though we don't get to go to LA, we don't get to go to Brazil. Just planning it out with everyone, even theoretically, it's like a really nice experience. Just being able to look forwards.
Yeah, well, that's awesome to hear. I hope you and Toasty share some great words, and make sure you guys live close. Make sure you guys go get something posted on social media for the rest of us as the two young guns in the mid lane. But Samikin, it's been a pleasure watching your journey so far. We'll go ahead and let you go, get something to eat, and enjoy the rest of the beginning of the off season as I go ahead and bring back Kangas. So thank you so much, and thank you for playing in NACL.
What a great interview. Samikin's awesome to have on the broadcast and chat about his journey as well as Blue Otter's journey. But I based on his timeline, it sounds like, I don't know where he's going. Is he going to school? He said he was driving 7 hours tomorrow.
He said Boston.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Boston. I don't know if he's got a lot of time to meet up with Toasty then. Toasty, if you were watching that, hit him up tonight and just go over right now and just, give him a firm handshake, pat in the back, and hang out for a bit,
Yeah, there you go. I know it's like midnight over there on the East Coast, but it's all good. You have plenty of time.
Yeah, it's a 7-hour drive's easy. You don't need sleep for that, right?
Nah, easy.
All right. Well, we already looked at it a little bit before, but I do want to look at it one more time before we close out the show. The updated bracket so that everyone at home, in case you missed it there, you can catch up on what you have in store for you for the rest of the tournament. Supernova continue on 3-1 against Blue Otter, which means they will match up against FlyQuest Challengers tomorrow to determine who is making top 3, as well as gets to challenge Fear X Starforge for not only a spot at the live finals versus Dragon Steel, but also the opportunity to represent NACL at Challenger Americas, or America's Challengers. There we go.
Yeah, and don't forget,
flipping those.
It's not just tomorrow, but we have a series after that as well, August 31st and then September 1st, and then we have a whole week. Make sure you guys come out. It is going to be at the LCS studio, so we'll get to see Dragon Steel take on the winner of these 3 other teams. You guys can come say hi to us. You can see all of your favorite future the LCS players right in one place.
Live at the Riot Games Arena. Make sure that you get your tickets if you have not already. But that will do it for the bracket. That'll do it for Supernova versus Blue Otter, and that will do it for the broadcast today. Very much thank you, Joshi, for keeping up with me as it's been a while since we casted together, but I'm happy that we could get 2 people that play Yu-Gi-Oh! And Warhammer to talk about League of Legends for this one. Thank you, everybody in production behind the scenes for keeping the gears rolling, everybody for cheering on the teams, and of course, for the players who are willing to show up every single week to compete, not only for our entertainment, but also for the glory of making it on towards the LCS, because the future of the LCS always starts after the LCS. We got more NACL playoffs action tomorrow. See you there.
We'll be right back.